that show that there is a slight landmass. You know,
Right.
um,
I do believe
when water
that
levels are
Atlantis,
lower. You know.
like there was land masses inside like the Atlantis, like Atlantic Ocean. Well,
Yeah,
that's what they call Atlantic Ocean because it's a
Right.
nod to
Exactly.
Atlantis.
Atlas, the king of Atlantis, the
Exactly.
oldest son of Poseidon, of his fucking his five
Yeah,
sets of twins, and he was the rightful king of Atlantis, which was North Mauritania.
right. What is Mauritania?
It's now like North Africa, where it's just like barren desert, where fucking like it looks like a giant wave went over and just like
Morocco and
sand.
shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because I mean, you guys know about the pre-Diluvian, like how I mean, because you know, like the ancient story that everyone knows is
well, the
the
ark,
Noah. Yeah, right. The Ark
the
of
ark
Noah.
is in the mountain of Ararat.
Yeah, but I'm like, what they all in all across the world, in India, in especially in Native American stories, they talk about how that there, you know, they all talk about there was a flood all around the world, and then even when you watch people like Graham Hancock, and I know there's another dude he went on the Joe Rogan podcast with, but it's like, and you can go back and even on the like when you look at the mountains
Right.
and the geological records, you can you know, we can
Like
all
how he's talking.
conclude, yeah, like we can conclude there was a flood 12,000 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, like there's talking about how there was a fucking meteor that hit the ice caps and like before the flood or like during the time of the flood, and it is said to hit the ice caps, and that's what also killed I don't know if it killed the dinosaurs. There was
Right.
probably one before that, but there was also like it just massive amounts of water just
Yeah.
flooded the earth.
Well, and also, I mean, now that I think about it, because you know how they say like the last ice age happened before, like that's when they had mammoths and saber-toothed tigers
Yeah.
and shit, right? But that's when they, you know, I mean, think about that. There was a mass extinction with all that shit. So I'm like, what if there was the ice age before the flood too?
Well, the
And that
ice
would make
age.
sense,
Well,
right?
exactly. The ice age would have to transfer into a flood
Right. That's what I'm
eventually.
saying. Yeah, because if
Exactly.
it's an ice age,
So that's what I'm saying. So
yeah.
Yeah.
the land of Atlantis could have been, you know, in the middle of the ocean.
We
Mm.
should start this right now.
But as
Let's get
soon
Already
into
as
started it, bro.
yo.
we recording, uh,
Yeah.
as soon as that shit melts, you got, you know, a bigger ocean. That shit's high. You know, there are tons of islands that were
Yeah.
probably washed over. You know, who knows?
Well, that's and that just makes so much because especially when we're talking about the trend of global warming and everything,
Exactly, bro.
I'm like scientifically that makes sense if there was a giant ice age, and then the world heated up or however it went or, I mean yeah I mean I would assume that was it, and then that would have started the flood that is in all those. I mean
Well,
that would make sense scientifically. You
you
know?
look at the pyramid, bro. Like it has massive water damage around it and the Sphinx. Like it's like fucking like it was like meant to be like a capsule in time to where like fucking they kept all their knowledge and shit,
Well, you
bro.
know, I've seen stuff saying that they would like in order to ease the transportation, they would dig the Nile all the way to the pyramids and then cover it all the way back up. You know, because there's like docks next to the pyramid that are fucking miles from the river.
And they always talk about how I mean there was well think about this also, there was the flood of the Nile River that happened like all well not it was like an annual thing or something when the entire thing flooded. So I'm like that could definitely be connected to it, yeah.
Y'all see the
Yo,
fucking
this is what the fuck we.
yep.
Yeah, on God.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, because it says this near glacial period. Blah blah.
He's already
Yo,
talking
we
about
just
it.
say
Yeah.
that, yo. For real.
The younger, driest climate change, bro. Fucking look. After Ice Age, humans saw fires larger than infernos that wiped out dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And if you look in the Bible, you look at the fucking how the well, not even in the Bible anymore because they removed it. The Book of Enoch, bro. It talks
Yeah.
about the Nephilim and these giants, the half watcher, like alien
Yeah.
angels, fallen gods,
Well,
whatever
yeah,
the
it's
fuck you
because
want to
the
call them.
Apocrypha,
Yeah,
because that's when they had the huge thing. It was like the 1300s where you know that's when the popes got together and they decided what the canonical Bible would be, and they got to choose to take out these certain scriptures that are no longer in the Bible, and then that's what we have. I think it was Pope Constantine.
it was Constantine and
Yeah.
then the Pope. Yeah, because Constantine was I think the leader of Europe at the time.
Yeah.
He was the king. But like it said, like they found the Dead Sea
I get
Scrolls,
that.
and inside the Dead Sea Scrolls, it still had the Book of Enoch. It had all these other removed books, and one of the books even prophesized its own removal. I can't remember which
Yeah.
one, but it said is like, oh, in the end, there's going to only be 60 some odd books of the Bible
Yeah.
left. And
Well,
that's
think
what
about
happened.
that.
And you
How?
look at the Bible when it was changed. It's what 1600s when they changed it. New King James
Yeah,
version.
I think 1300s.
It's an old translation of the book that hasn't been changed for 400, 500 years.
Yeah.
That has been the same and hasn't been translated and is just a rude, crude kind of like amalgamation.
Yeah.
Because they're missing books and it's confusing.
When that's what? Why do you get to decide what of the original books gets to stay?
Well,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
when we're talking about Egypt and shit, how like when the Crusades, I think it was during the Crusades, right? When they went and burned the fucking Library of Alexandria,
yeah.
all the fucking knowledge of the world went blank.
Yeah,
That's
bro.
why we had the Dark
That's where
Century.
some of the Nag Hammadi scriptures
we
came
had the
from,
Dark
bro.
Century right after that.
The Dark
fucking,
Ages, yeah, with medieval fucking kings
medieval
and shit.
bro. That was because of that.
Where is it? Is it Ethiopia that kept all the old scripture?
They have it,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
the Ethiopian Bible.
The original Bible.
The Ethiopian
they
Bible
follow all of
is
it.
80
Exactly.
books.
Yeah,
well,
not
they kept
missing the
every
Apocrypha
single,
or anything.
Exactly. They have
Yeah.
kept every single book. They keep the entire Bible. So that's like the old age Bible.
Well,
in
it's
my
said that
definition.
in Ethiopia that they still have the Ark of the Covenant in one of their fucking their churches that only nobody can go see because if you
Yeah.
see it you die.
Yeah.
You perish.
Even the most
like
holy.
Indiana Jones shit, bro.
Yeah, even the most holy, because that was spoken about in the Old Testament.
You know what's in the Ark though, right?
Well, well, there's different theories. I mean, what do you? Because I
Well,
know they
back
said
when
in the Bible they said it was the Spirit of God.
No. Back when Moses saw the burning bush and God sent down the 10 Commandments, they put the 10 Commandments in the Ark and they carried it everywhere they went.
Yeah. I forgot. Yeah, they made the 2 tablets.
Yeah, the 2 tablets with the 10 Commandments.
One thing
are
about
in the
this, and it
Ark.
would create, and they said like at night God would take the form of like a giant fire or a tornado or something. Like always when they're carrying with. Think about this. It's almost like a hypercube. I heard a whole theory on how it because have you ever read the description of how they built it?
No.
Bro, it's like 10 fucking pages, bro. Like I was sitting there reading the Bible, bro, and I got to that part. And it's crazy when they actually describe to you how much, it might be like even up to 20 pages, because not only did they build the Ark of the Covenant, but then they built this specific temple, the first temple,
Right.
all around it,
Yeah.
made in specific measurements. And it goes on for altogether 20 pages of them just describing exactly what kinds of stones and what color drapery to use and how many cubits by how many cubits this box should be inlayered by this box.
And
You know what I'm saying?
the first actual temple that they, or not actual temple, because there was obviously some other temples, but the first temple of God that they built.
Well,
in
yeah,
Jerusalem.
I think that's why they call it. There's the first temple.
And then there's a second one the first one got destroyed.
Yeah.
The second one got destroyed, and then Revelations talks about
The
if the
third
third
temple
one gets
being
built,
erected.
gets erected, and then end times happen. And what's
Yeah,
happening right now?
they're building the third temple,
They're
bro.
building the third fucking temple.
Yeah. When also we were talking about I was showing them the fucking complete apocrypha. These are the 66 books that they took out of the Bible, and in one of them, as he was talking about earlier, which a lot of you probably might know because this is one of the most famous of the apocrypha books, but the Book of Enoch. And like he was saying, it describes how Enoch was the grandfather of Moses, I think.
Grandfather of Noah.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Oh
was
yeah.
the mediator between heaven and earth. God literally took him. He never died. Enoch never died. He was brought straight to heaven by God. He was like, "You will not perish because I love you so much."
Yeah.
Like, you've done your job. You've done what you had to do. You wrote the fucking Book of Enoch the way it had to be written.
Mm-hmm. One thing, and I also how the story goes is Enoch was the grandfather of Noah, and then God set over 200 watchers, which were angels. They say 200 angel watchers to watch over the earth.
Angel, alien, God, whatever the fuck.
Fucking Anunnaki shit, bro.
Literally.
And so they came down to earth. They had sex with the women and had babies, which were Nephilim. That even in the Bible, in the first, I think it's it might be the 6th paragraph of what's the first book? Genesis. And in Genesis, they mentioned the Nephilim and how they were the old great men of renown and strength.
It's just the 7th verse too.
Yeah.
It's one of the first verses in the Bible.
Yeah. And that's how you get stories of demigods like Hercules and fucking.
Well, it's crazy how we talk more about Atlantis, what we were just talking about. Atlantis, the king of Atlantis, his name is Atlas. Poseidon was a real person. Poseidon had 5 sets of twins.
Well, that's how they connected.
His oldest son was Atlas, the oldest of all the twins and everything. He was rightfully king of Atlantis. And in the Critaeus and the whatever, the Critaeus and the Timaeus, the ones that Plato wrote.
Okay.
At that time, it was already folklore Atlantis because his
Right.
his long past great whatever the fuck grandfather
Yeah.
went and seen Atlantis
Yeah.
and took measurements and everything of it.
Yeah.
And he went back and took.
Well, not-
and
yeah,
he,
'cause
and he
I'm pretty
told the
sure-
knowledge to him because they weren't writing it down back then, or if they did it. Went
Yeah, it's like a
missing.
story that carried on.
But like when they explain it, wait, fuck, where was I going? Shit.
Atlantis, the Cremaeus,
Okay,
and the
okay.
Timaeus.
When in the Critaeus and the Timaeus, the way that they described Atlas, the king of Atlantis, he was half god, half human.
Yeah.
He
well,
was a
and-
Nephilim.
well, think
bro.
about, yeah, I would say connect that to like Anunnaki shit.
Poseidon
that's what-
was his father.
Yeah, that's when they
God.
talk about like Enlil and Enki and
Well, like all these gods, like Enlil, Enki, like Osiris, they're all.
that's
just
what I'm saying.
different names.
Equal, yeah, that's what
they're
I'm saying.
equal.
Enki equals because he was the lord of the waters and
Yeah.
magic equals Poseidon.
Like Osiris was Hermes.
Yeah, Enlil I think would be Zeus because he was the lord of the fucking like skies and like lightning and shit. I'm not really sure on the exacts, but I mean, like you're saying, I mean, because if you look all around, all across, that's why I believe that all religions and all folklores each have a piece of the story. Because even in the Bible, it talks about the Tower of Babel.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
everything collapsed and the fucking languages changed, everybody got spread out around the world, and it's crazy. They had like I think
We used
they
to all
had
speak one
watcher-
language,
yeah,
bro.
And then I think each one had a watcher assigned to him when that happened, just sent out across the world, bro.
Probably.
Because like the watchers are just like the angels, bro, and like
Yeah.
angels aren't like all bad. You feel me?
Yeah,
Like,
well, that's
you got-
they
you got
say they
the-
were angels. Like they say, like if you've heard the name Azazel, which a lot of like when you're hearing about demons, Azazel was one of the Watchers. And then when they betrayed God and had sex with the women and taught us magic and how to build weapons and shit, then that's when they cast the Watchers down, and he cast them to the abyss. Or I mean, he takes like Enoch up into the heavens and gives this whole description of heaven. And I think they talk about in one of the heavens, they have these like angels of misery that just sit there in eternal pain and torment until the last day or some shit, bro. Like this shit gets crazy.
I'm trying to find the fucking the Bible verse right now where God banished the scapegoat to the wilderness, and it's a crude fucking like interpretation of what it would be today because it's an old what's it called? All right, right here, Leviticus 16. Fucking in certain versions they call him a scapegoat, where God banishes the scapegoat to the wilderness. Wilderness being like banished, no water, fucking barren desert.
Yeah,
just
like metaphorical.
Yeah, and the way he banishes them is he sends them there to like rot out until like the end of time, basically. And you look at fucking Egypt, right? It's literally a fucking barren desert wilderness. And the scapegoat in other translations, in different translations of this Bible, they call the scapegoat Azazel. Azazel was banished to fucking Egypt, and you look at the Great Pyramid of Egypt, right?
Yeah.
And you know how we're talking about the Book of Enoch? I'm gonna look it up right now.
When
Pillar
also-
of Enoch, literally in my phone. Pillar of Enoch, and go to images.
Here, show it to him.
Go to images. It is the Great Pyramid of Enoch. Giza, sorry. Pillar of Enoch is the Great Pyramid of Giza.
When also, have you ever heard of Hermes Trismegistus or like the Emerald Tablet?
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Yeah,
the,
well, 'cause,
the Emerald
dude,
Tablet of Thoth was
yeah.
found in the Great Pyramid
listen,
of
bro,
Egypt.
in one of the Nag Hammadi scriptures, it's a piece from the Corpus Hermeticum, which is one of like the three. There's like the Asclepius, the Corpus Hermeticum, and the Emerald Tablet, and those are the fundamental basis of like Hermetic and Hermeticism and like that whole thing. And Hermes Trismegistus, who Trismegistus means thrice born, and they say that he was the third reincarnation of Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom who wrote the Book of the Dead and all this shit. They say, when he was born, he became this prophet. He talks about I was literally just reading it. It's in the Nag Hammadi scriptures. They took a piece of it, and it talks about the prophecy of how the gods will leave Egypt and it will become a barren wasteland, and it will, where it used to be the hub of magic and life and trade and wisdom and knowledge around the world. It's gonna, it just talks about a whole like end times of Egypt, and it'll become this barren shithole, and everyone will laugh at it. And he even says like the Hindus and like all the other religions will become more enlightened than them because they're like fall. It's like, bro, you gotta read this shit, bro.
Well, it's crazy because like you talk about the Emerald Tablet and stuff. These like great leaders like Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Hitler was one of them who was on his way to go do it before he fucking offed himself or sent himself to Argentina. You know, just fucking South America submarine.
Yeah,
Fucking,
they got whole bro. They got whole villages
Of German
German,
white
bro,
people
yeah.
in South America.
Yeah, and
just,
they'll be like, oh, these are my grandpa's war medals and his fucking swastikas and iron fucking crosses
there's no
and
way
shit.
Hitler did not fucking catch a fucking submarine out down there.
For real.
Where was I going? Fucking.
Pillar of Enoch, Egypt, how Hermes said that.
Oh,
you know,
the Tablet of
prophecy,
Thoth.
bro.
Okay, so like you know how Napoleon and fucking Alexander the Great, these great fucking war leaders, they go to the Great Pyramid of Giza. They go sleep in the pyramid, and they say that they hear these fucking these enlightening demon thoughts, like crazy shit that fucking gives
that's
them
why
power.
they have the central chamber where they would like bury the pharaohs and everything, and it's like
the Pyramid of Giza. If you look at it, it's called the Pillar of Enoch for a reason. It's kind of like a capstone, and it's like a fucking. My theory is that underneath the Pyramid of Giza is just a bottomless pit.
Well, think about that's what I'm saying. Like, because you know everyone calls they're like, oh, the pyramids were a tomb. If you look at all the there's a difference. There were the tomb, like you know the whole Valley of Kings where they found like Tutankhamun and all. You know, there was a whole ritual. Like you know they respected death. They would mummify you, but they would bury your slaves and all your possessions with you. In the fucking pyramids of Giza, these shits weren't built to be tombs, you know. It's like they were doing shit inside them. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's like a way to contract energy, and like
Yeah.
to me,
it's like the Stargate rejuvenation pods, bro.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, I almost feel like it's a rejuvenation pod. Like how they literally found where, because Gilgamesh was buried, like way far away from Egypt.
The oldest story in the world of Gilgamesh, the demigod.
Well, Gilgamesh, yeah, he's like many interpretations. Like Nimrod was another one that he could have been, because you know the story of Nimrod, right? How
Enlighten me, just in case.
So the Nimrod's father, he was like this great king, battler, and whatever. He has his wife, and then he dies, and then she gives birth to her son, and then her son grows up, and then she fucking marries him and has kids with him, and then it like.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that one.
Yeah, it's like some like, and that's where the story of Cupid comes from, and some like crazy dark shit, bro.
Well, that's because they even Gilgamesh was a demigod, the son of one of the gods. I think was like Marduk, who that's another they say like Marduk was Hercules, or even because think about like Hercules is always pictured with the Nemean lion pelt around him because that was one of his 12 labors. But in the story of Gilgamesh, same thing, like he hunts down a lion and he wears the same pelt and he goes through all these trials from the gods after like his best friend died. It's not even they like built this, bro. The whole story of Gilgamesh, we'll have to get into that.
You should throw some on so we could just enlighten us.
Yeah, well, because in the story of I'll try to give it a quick summary, but it's the oldest recorded story on all of Earth, and like I said, it talks about the demigod Gilgamesh from ancient Sumeria, and basically he's like this, he's a demigod, he's like the biggest of men, he's strong and he's handsome and he rules over this city, but then I think it's because he's being such a tyrant and such a it's just a cocky asshole. He's like, I'm a god and I fuck all your in order to get married in the city, bro. If you got married first, Gilgamesh would fuck your bitch, and then you would get to fuck her, bro.
That's like some Genghis Khan level.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, bro. He got the virginity of every single girl that was before they got married in the city, and so then it was I forget how it happens. Someone curses him or. Curses out to the gods or makes a complaint to the gods, and they're he's being such a fucking dickhead. So they build this man out of clay, whatever, breathe the breath of life into him, and they throw him in the wilderness. And it's an exact replica of Gilgamesh. He's big and he's strong and shit, but he's living in the wilderness, eating with the animals. He's just like a wild beast is the point. Right. He runs with the animals and eats berries and shit. He's fucking, just wild man. And then eventually they're like, oh, this man, he's destroying all our farms. He's he's such a terror outside of the city, right? So they're like, we need you to figure out a way to catch him. So then they send one of the, it's Inanna is the Sumerian goddess of love, Aphrodite,
right?
Type shit. You feel me? And so all of her prophets who would let because they each had a different temple for each of the gods in the ancient worlds,
Yeah.
and so all of the people who could only be women, and they would all dedicate themselves to Inanna and the goddess of love and being like her. So they were just whores, and they would just fuck everyone, and like everyone could go there just to fuck, right? Like
Kratos.
yeah, it was just like
shit, bro.
it's like an ancient magical whorehouse or something. You feel me? Like some crazy shit. And so then they're like, we need you to send one of your prophetesses or your I know there's a different term for them, but whatever, like the female, like, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And so they're like, we need you to send one of these out to capture him. So she goes out there and she just spreads her legs out and she like shows him her her vagina, bro. And then he sees it and all of a sudden he's like entranced. He's like never seen the body. He's like, oh, and then it details how they like fuck for like 6 days or something, like some crazy shit. Yeah, really fuck for like it's some crazy shit like that. And then eventually like all of a sudden it like wakes him up and then he becomes like conscious and he like learns to speak, he learns how to speak English or not English, but
Pussy's so good it just like he learns a different language and shit.
yeah, the pussy's so good it woke him up, bro. Yeah, and it's like how how he went from like wild animal to a man, and then eventually him and Gilgamesh fight, and then they end up being best friends because that's like what happens with dudes, bro. They're like and they're like, all right, bro, respect, you feel me? So then they end up becoming best friends and shit, and they're going around hunting, and then there's this ancient demon. Fuck, I forget what his name was, but they're like the ancient demon living in the wilderness, like this forest that no one's supposed to enter. It's like full of crazy ass tall trees and shit, like demon forest.
Right.
And then they go there and they slay him, even though, like, and he's sitting there like begging for them not to slay him after the whole fight, and like it makes you feel bad for him. And he's like, I'm just set here. He's like, the gods just put me here to do my job. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then even like it was like someone, I think it was like Enki. Or not Enki, but I think it was Enkidu, who is, the best friend of Gilgamesh in the story, right? And so he's like, we shouldn't do it. The gods are going to get mad at us or some shit, bro, because it's their, like, sacred animal. It's on some chimera shit almost, it's like this fucking demon beast that they said, like how if you, like how in, like, if, you know what I'm saying, bro? Like, and they slay this, like, even though it's a demon, it's, like, sacred to the gods or something, or, you feel me? And so, then the gods get mad at him, and then Enkidu gets like the gods make him sick or something, and he fucking dies. And then Gilgamesh, he's like, oh my god, I lost my best friend. Like what? So he goes on this whole path. And this, oh my god, I didn't even remember this part, because this connects to it. Talks about how he goes to find, because he wants to learn how to be immortal, right? He's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to fall into death. He's like,
like the rejuvenation pod.
Well, think about bro. This gets crazier, bro. So he goes to find the only man in all of the history of the world who has ever been known to be immortal. So he goes on this whole travel across the fucking like sea and fucking like through this tunnel where the sun goes through and like the sun chases him and shit. And he meets him, and guess who this dude was, bro?
Who?
He was the only living being from before the flood.
What the fuck?
Bro. It was, and they say this. It's the same story. How he's like, yeah, before the flood, the gods told me to build this huge ark, this big boat, and to fill with animals and shit, bro. It's literally Noah.
It was fucking Noah.
Yeah, it was Noah, bro. Gilgamesh went to go meet Noah because apparently in this version they made Noah immortal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then Gilgamesh, he's like,
old,
yeah, and he's like, oh, I want to be, Gilgamesh. He's like, well, and think about it, because I think this was written before Genesis, so it's even older than the Bible, at least the scripts that we found, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but he meets him, and basically he can, he's like, if you can find this plant at the bottom of the ocean, it'll give you immortality, but and that he loses the plant, but basically the lesson of it was, he's like, you don't want to be immortal. He's like, all the shit I had to go through. He's like, I had to watch the entire world die. I had to watch all my friends in my village die. He's like, I could only save my family and shit, so he's like, basically the whole story is like, he's like, the best way a man can live is just to, you just have a good time, make love to your wife, eat good food, be good to your children. Just like, just
right.
Fucking live out your life, bro. Just be a regular, chill dude. You know what I'm saying? Like some Uncle Iroh shit.
Right.
So, yeah, and then he goes, and then it starts at the exact intro that the story starts with, where it describes the city of or wherever, whichever kingdom he ruled over. It ends in the same way, and you find out that the narrator from the beginning was him, or some shit like that. Like I'm pretty like the narrator from it's some crazy shit, bro. Like it's mindfuck shit. Like the whole story loops in around itself, and then it ends with the same description, and he ends up becoming a good king because after being a cocky piece of shit, he's like, oh, I'm the biggest, strongest. I just fuck everyone's bitches, and then he lost. Yeah, and then he lost his best friend, and he had to go through all these trials to like grow up and like realize the sufferings of humans, I guess.
Well, all humans, like all men, really kind of have like the same struggle. You have to suffer before you can like really be enlightened. Like, and there's no really like guidebook on how to suffer. Like David
exactly.
Goggins will tell you that.
That kind of plays into a little bit of the seeking nirvana kind of shit. Because like one of the first things you learn in like Buddhism, Hinduism, that kind of stuff, is you go seeking. You ask. Life is suffering. So
Right.
so how do I not suffer? How
Yeah,
do I
that's-
seek to not suffer?
Yeah, the first of the Four
first
Noble
step
Truths,
to seeking, or the first step to not suffering, is to stop seeking, stop wanting. But
Right.
what do you want? You want to not suffer, so you're stuck in this loop of wanting to not suffer, so you're suffering for wanting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's just the loop of
It's
humanity.
like the minute you stop
know?
wanting,
Exactly.
and you cut off
You
desire.
understand that suffering is living. Life
Yeah.
is both suffering and, it's part of the experience.
Yeah, you just gotta find the good things in suffering.
Exactly.
Right, I can't remember the quote, or who said the quote, but it's funny. It's like whatever bad happens, I don't care as long as it's funny,
Exactly.
You know?
Yo, I fuck with that now.
You know, you
What-
gotta live life that
Dude,
way.
When that goes, this is honestly my whole theory about like the Garden of Eden, right? Because it's like the point of God is that He's omnipotent, He's infinite, He is all infinite. Oh, it's fine. That's just some random shit that pops up. But He's, I mean, you can't describe God. He's just all powerful, all knowing. Like He can do whatever. He creates universe and shit. And so then when they talk about, they're like, oh, like the fall of the Garden of Eden and like the fall of Adam and Eve. Like, how did He not know this was gonna happen? And I mean, who knows? Like, we really can't. But honestly, what I think about it, it's like, because think about it. If you were born in the Garden of Eden, right?
Right.
Everything's perfect. You're like a baby. Like, they're running around naked and everything's perfect and shit. But if you're born into this perfect world,
Because like in that perfect world, right, it's free from sin. At that point, it's just kind of like a bliss. It's like what you're saying, where like the nirvana aspect. You're so engulfed into life to where life is
But-
suffering.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, it's like the
it's
nirvana
like you
state.
don't know right from wrong, so it's
I-
just like everything is a
That's
bliss.
exactly the point.
And
I
then
would
when
say,
you eat the fucking
Well, that's what I was
fruit-
gonna say. Yeah, because I'm like, are you really happy or are you
exactly.
just ignorant?
I would,
Yeah.
I would say that
Like
it was-
ignorance is bliss,
It was
dude.
less of a fact because, like, most people agree that if you can't have the concept of right and wrong, it's not really a sin. It's not really
Yeah.
bad if you can't really understand. it.
Yeah.
So is it more of no sin or more of there no concept of sin?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like
an
perfect.
ignorant bliss.
Yes.
almost.
Yeah. Because then I'm like,
Exactly,
so are
you
you
know?
really happy, or is like they say ignorance is bliss? So that's why, and like it said, in Genesis, and they eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and there's the second tree, which is the tree of life, which would give them a mortal life, which they're denied. And it's like, I think we had to fall in order to rise back up. You know what I'm saying?
Well-
Because if you're born into it, you're just ignorant of it. But if you have to start from the bottom, where it's all sin in this hell world of the 3D physical, and it's just murder and greed, and it's just fucking a terrible hell world. We're cast down into death, whereas before we were immortal. It's like, but once you make your way back up to that, you'll truly be able to appreciate it, and you'll never have to leave again because you earned your way back up there to perfection.
Well, because like there's two parts of a man. There's his body and his soul. Once your body dies, it's not like your soul dies. Your soul goes somewhere else. I'm not sure if it stays in this metaphysical or like I don't know if y'all have done this before, but we have. DMT, kind of like an introspective, like crazy fucking like realm that you enter into, and it's just hyper enlightenment.
Beyond even, and it's like you could travel out of your fucking body. Like we're so used to we're so used to like taste and touch and
Right,
sight and everything. These
exactly.
are our five, but you have to have a body to have the five senses, right? So it's like when you travel out of this, and it's just soul.
Out of the metaphysical.
Yeah,
bro.
out of the fucking matrix, out of this, like with Gnosticism, how Yaldabaoth was the false god who fell from God. He was, which is like Yahweh, and this is like the demiurge and the idea of the Gnostics, and that he created this, just this shit kingdom all around him. Like, but he didn't know. It's like he was. It's like so. Also, and that's also another thing. It's like, is he bad or is he just ignorant? Because that's all he's ever known. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, but so he creates this false world, this incomplete world which we live into, and then he creates our bodies, but the aeons, like from the original fullness and like of the one true God, outside of this matrix realm that Yaldabaoth lives in, that we live in, they came from outside of that and breathed the spirit of life into us, which gave us our souls, our true souls. And when they created us, because Yaldabaoth, before he created us, he made the ranks of the angels and the ranks of the demons and everything in the whole matrix. And then, but when he created us and he saw that the breath of life was in us and that we were even more intelligent than he was, and he's like, how did this happen? He's like, I created you. I'm the one true God, and there's no other God before me, and I'm an angry, wrathful God, and blah blah, all Yaldabaoth shit. Because it's like, and if you're the one true God, like, you don't have to say like, you don't have to be like, I'm a jealous God, and like, that's not God, bro.
No.
That's not God.
That's Yaldabaoth,
That's
bro.
fucking Yaldabaoth. You feel me? And so when he saw us, that we had the breath of life and we had a real soul above him, that's when he cast us down. And this is where the story even talks about Adam and Eve. He's like, he cast us out of the garden to live to have to die and to forget our true nature.
Right.
You
he
feel
gave
me?
us the sword of fire, bruh. Like from the angels, bruh, whatever. Remember, he's cast us, gave I think it was Adam the fucking sword of fire, and then just left him to fucking.
Or no, that was in Genesis, and when they cast Adam and Eve out, they said he set an angel at the front of the entrance to the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And
totally
with
messed
an
that
angel
shit
with
up.
a flaming sword, and he's like, to not let anyone in or to keep him out or whatever.
Right, yeah, that's crazy shit.
But yeah, I mean, bro, Gnosticism is really like, like that's the shit I really love to study. Like, and then like, bro, it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, out of all the shit I've come to study, like all these religions and shit, I mean, obviously, like I said, they each have a piece and they each have a truth, but that shit to me seems by far the most makes the most sense to me,
I feel like they're all just like an amalgamation, retelling or telling of their own like perspective in that area that they were in.
Facts.
And it's just kind of like all similar, same stories that just from different viewpoints.
Right.
Well, like we said, Tower of Babel. Before we were just one people, bro. And it's like now Tower of Babel, we're all separated into different tribes with different tongues.
Right,
and
different cultures that are, brought up and shit. Yeah.
And then that's why we have all these split off stories, which are all the same story. But
just different influences that are making that story. Everyone's own lives are being brought into it.
Exactly.
It's like the interpretations, they bring in different folklore. It's like a game of telephone. You go and tell somebody something else, and they tell it to their son, and then it's like a different interpretation.
That's exactly what this is. You look at each area, and like all these stories before written history, these were all word of mouth. These were stories that you just memorized and you told your kids. These were handed down.
And like they would add their own self into the story or change a word or something, and it's like it all just ends up getting mishmashed.
There's so much history before written history that was all just passed through words.
Well, like connecting back to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and Hermes Trismegistus, fucking he talks about how there was the one true religion that we all had before like the separation, and he's like everyone was. And he said that how it's just like we're saying basically, it's fragmented now into all these different fragments of the truth, and he calls it I think it's like the idea of is the perennial philosophy, which is what we're talking about. It means like the continuation of all these same stories,
exactly.
Like that all like, bro, you guys got to read the Corpus Hermeticum and shit if you haven't. Like that shit, I would definitely recommend.
See, I would be down, bro. I need to find like some really good audiobooks that I could just sit down and read the book with it, because I'm sitting there having to read it. I'm kind of like, I'm not super dyslexic, but I'm dyslexic to the point where like I will move a word backwards and move a word in front of it, and I'll mix up the entire sentence, and I have to go back and reread it 3 times. And then my eyes will cross and shit. I need like reading classes or some shit, bro. My dad's got the same shit.
Well, the more you practice, the better it'll get. Just the more you read, and just I think it's also because like it's like because I remember like that's all I used to do when I was a kid. I would just read for hours and hours on end, bro. And I remember literally being able to visualize like it's not even like I was reading. It's like my body was reading, and in my head I'm just watching like a story.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And then you have those times where you kind of snap out of it and you're back to reading, and you're like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah, you're like, wait, you're
Where'd
like,
it
I was
go?
just there, bro.
Yeah, where'd
You're
it go?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
in the book, dude.
Did it all the time.
Dude, seriously. And then like you remember daydreaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Bro.
in school, just looking off and just kind of just fucking.
Yeah, you would see shit,
No,
bro.
I understand that too, cause like I just think, for me, like it was like always like I needed something to grab me. Like if the book wasn't
Yeah,
interesting to me,
exactly.
I could not sit there and read it.
Yeah.
But if it was like something like if you
The
read-
Magic Tree
if
House
you read
stuff.
Holes or
Yeah.
like The Outsiders or
Goosebumps.
Harry Potter or
Yeah.
Goosebumps, my guy, that was my shit.
Bro, motherfucking Percy Jackson, dude.
Percy Jackson, I tried getting into. I just never got far into it.
No, I feel you, but you know what I'm like.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
especially
You
for
know,
me.
one of my favorites was the Hobbit. That was
I've
like
never
one of my
read
I
favorites,
need to
bro.
get into
That
it.
is
Shit.
a good
Yeah.
book, bro.
Well, I know that he's one of the best authors of all
Well,
time.
I
and-
read The
J.R.R.
Hobbit
Tolkien.
and
Yeah.
I read The Hobbit and all the Lord of the Rings.
Holy
the
shit,
Hobbit,
bro.
The
Yeah.
Hobbit, best one.
dude.
Like the Lord of the Rings were good, but
Right.
in my opinion, bro, The Hobbit. Takes
Yeah,
it.
and did you guys see the
The
They
new
ha-
show that they're bringing out.
Oh, that no.
No,
Well,
that's
no.
kind of trash.
in-
Okay.
They, cause you know how they made the Hobbit trilogy recently,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like after they made all the Lord of the
Right, something
Rings.
like 2017. or
The Hobbit
something.
trilogy
Yeah,
was-
I thought it was awesome.
Pretty fire, yeah.
But what I just found out is they had made a whole animated version of The Hobbit in like
I
the
watched that while
60s, bro.
tripping.
Dude, yeah, dude.
No, it's
Literally,
crazy.
my
How was that
last
shit?
Trip, amazing,
yeah,
bro.
he
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Dude,
It's
we
the
gotta-
most.
Dude.
It's the most twisted version and simplified as fuck for like kids,
Yeah.
but it is amazing.
Yeah.
bro.
It's like PG heavy metal.
Exactly.
Dude,
but,
that's some
like,
that's some
dwarfs
heavy
and-
metal
Yeah,
shit, bro.
exactly, bro.
It's like
wizards.
Thundercats,
Their
like
faces are all crazy. And,
Yeah.
and it's so simplified too. They just like go from one place to another with no explanation.
I've seen,
Yeah.
I've
And
seen
it just
like
kinda
one video.
progresses.
well, that, yeah, and that's I think the cartoons were so much better. back
Yes.
then, bro. Honestly.
It's just like Gandalf appears and he smells the Zaza, bro.
For real,
And
he's
it's
like,
Yeah, we're gonna
"Oh!"
Dude,
Yeah.
I just remember seeing because they made because you know how Smaug gives this great speech and he's like,
yeah.
my,
That in the cartoon that was
Yeah.
actually pretty good.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I didn't like because I just remember that's the one clip I really love because I love Smaug and I love his whole fucking like
Yeah,
when he
he's
gives
like
that
a,
speech,
he's like
dude.
a cat in that movie. though,
Yeah.
too, you know.
Well, yeah, and I mean the whole idea of dragons. I mean that even connects back to like the fucking reptilians.
Well,
and
it's
shit,
crazy
dog.
because dragons were fucking real. If you look at their
Yeah.
bones, bro, they didn't fucking fossilize because they had bird bones. There's fucking.
to be able to fly.
Well, exactly. They had to fly.
That's the only one
and
that would
they,
make
they were
sense.
they were giant reptiles, just like fucking dinosaurs. That's why we have like written.
When we're
and
finding now that
fucking-
all the dinosaurs actually had feathers and they were more related to birds than anything.
Right.
bro.
Exactly though.
And it
Well,
trans-
that
That's
would
what's
also
crazy.
make sense for like an in between step, you know. The
Yeah.
fucking dinosaurs, flying dinosaurs, fucking birds.
Like
Yeah.
evolution,
Just
like
kinda- exactly.
Yeah,
imagine
bro.
if like evolution isn't like its own separate thing from religion. It's just a part of
That's
Earth.
what
Yeah.
I've been
It's
saying.
an
yeah,
amalgamation.
I think
hate
science-
how they separate it.
Yeah,
Separate it.
science and religion and spirituality, whatever you want to call
They
it, all
coincide.
they go hand in hand. I mean, the original point of studying all, even back in like ancient Greece, like Pythagoras, you know, the father of like the Pythagorean theorem and like
Yes.
and
Yeah.
geometry and shit, and all this sacred geometry. It's like it's because to understand God more. It's not that it's
Exactly,
yeah, you know.
all those people back in the day, you know, in ancient Greece, they were the same guys, the mathematicians, the philosophers, all those
Yeah,
guys. They were the same
Socrates,
people. Exactly, bro.
Plato.
They were doing everything
Like-
back
like
then.
literally
just to do that
quantum
shit.
physics.
Figure out
Yeah.
their own mind. That
Yeah,
shit.
just to, yeah,
Exactly.
it's exact because they would do all of them. They would
Exactly,
do like
bro.
Quantum physics, the fucking like sacred geometry, all of this are just literally the fucking foundations and the code of our matrix.
yeah,
well,
bro.
you know what's crazy? Back to touch on, you were talking about, you know, how part of the experience of humanity is touch and, you know, the human senses and shit.
yeah,
Somebody I saw that made that same point in kind of a very interesting way. The most craziest person of all, Mark Zuckerberg. He was saying
Reptilian.
is
that
it about the metaverse?
exactly.
Okay.
And he was going in to say, you know, you can't really eliminate touch and just make it about what you're experiencing,
Right.
because what you're feeling is kind of your experience.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so to really kind of take that away is an interesting thing.
Who's
you
to
know?
say we're
He
not
said that?
already?
Yeah.
Who's deep as fuck?
Right,
No,
that's
it-
what I'm
no,
saying,
it's
you know?
crazy
Like,
when you
that's
think
crazy.
about
That's
it.
hella deep, bro.
Right, he's thinking
Who's
about
to
that.
say we're not fucking locked up somewhere in a pod with a fucking thing
Right,
blocked up in the
exactly,
back
you
of
know?
our head with a fucking suck tube where
It's all
it's feeding us
chemicals.
food
We don't
and
know.
oxygen just so we
Yeah.
could fucking
When I've-
see this
I've had a-
metaphysical world.
I've
and
had a
touch and-
DMT trip where I traveled out of my body.
Matrix.
And it was like the same shit. It's like I woke up in this like alien spaceship in this machine.
Where the praying mantises?
That's a different one, but
Oh,
I did meet giant fucking praying mantises that talked to me. But it was crazy. Like, yeah, what were you saying?
Something really weird. Like, probably half the time I've tripped is on DMT. Every time I do it, I see this mall.
Okay.
A retro, kind of purple,
Like
blue,
50s,
pink.
Like
Kind of
1980s?
exactly like a
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
a
okay.
synthwave retro. Classical mall, like it's
Yeah.
a mall that you would expect, you know, escalators, tile floor,
Yeah.
purple walls, and marble statues.
It's
just
like-
all
it's
over
like-
the
You
place.
remember all this shit down to that detail, bro?
Fucking paintings on the
Dude,
wall.
you know
Holy
what that kind
fuck,
of reminds me
bro.
of?
I've seen some
Imagine
insane
if
shit.
that's just
Yeah.
like a one-way stop to another
That's what
dimension,
I-
kind of
Yeah.
like the
I-
train station in the
I
Matrix.
have to believe that because I've been
Yeah.
to the exact same spot in that mall 3 times.
Well, because it's
That's
crazy.
crazy, though,
Because
that
I
that
think
keeps repeating, bro.
everybody,
That's what
I
I'm
think
saying.
everybody in the world now who's lived through the '80s or not, and who've grown up past who've like our age, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
who have seen the '80s and brought it back, have seen that level of mall.
Yeah.
Have seen that
Well,
type
it's
of
like
mall.
Alien Mall, bro. Because to me, it's like all the time, like different time periods and everything, but brought into one thing.
Exactly.
It's just
That's
like
what I'm saying.
yeah, it's just where all timelines
like a-
coincide.
Cause then the other chunk that I see is like not quite a casino, but it's like it's kind of the same mall,
Mhm.
but it's more brightly flagrant, you know, super
Yeah.
flamboyant.
Different vibe.
Very
but-
different vibe, but it's the same place.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, bro, I've had tons of dreams about a city like that where it's all like I'll go to a school, and it's like all the schools I've ever went to combined into one
Dude,
school,
no,
bro.
I had that fucking same dream
Are-
just
dude.
like fucking a month ago, dude. I woke up
Yeah.
and I was like, this school is not familiar to me. It's got a golf course and it's like multiple campuses and shit. But I'm going to each of these levels of this school and shit, and I'm seeing all my friends from all the different schools I
Yeah.
went to, and
all
I'm like,
combined into
all
one
combined,
place,
I'm
bro.
whoa, this is kind of cool. It's just like walking through this school.
It's like
I'm going up the
purgatory. It's like
stairs.
heaven
Yeah.
purgatory, bro.
And
you
I'm
know?
just like meeting all my fucking homies that like I've known forever. I've seen you there. I saw you there. I
Yeah.
saw people I known from like all the school. Cause I went to like move into Vegas from.
Well, yeah, you've been to like 20 fucking schools,
No.
bro. Like,
Hear this out. So from fourth grade, I went to a fucking Christian like school. It was a Lutheran school. You feel me? It was Trinity Lutheran. I went there for 6 years, so I got a lot of like good religious background when I was growing up. Like we had church every Wednesday, and we went up and sung hymns and shit every Wednesday at school.
that's sick.
But legit fucking from fourth grade we moved to Vegas. Fifth grade was elementary, was Eisenberg. And then it was fucking Johnson.
Heisenberg?
Johnson. That's
Heisenberg?
three. That's 3 schools, 3 school years, and then I go to Cram for 2 years, and then that's what so that's 4 schools and 5 school years, and then I go to Legacy and then Centennial.
Damn, bro.
So
yeah.
7 years I went to 6 different schools.
That's
so
crazy.
it's like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the people from all the schools
Yeah.
are just like in
Well, that's
one.
even more. Yeah, because I've just gone to
Right,
like
yeah.
the same elementary, same middle school, same high school. So it was just like those 3. You had like 7 different places coincide in this place. But it wasn't just the school. It was even out in the city, bro.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like-
like I was saying, I walked out and there's a golf course and it's
Yeah.
like palm trees and it's just like this awesome
Yeah.
oasis.
It's just like all the places yeah, bro.
it's like
I've-
Vegas,
bro.
like legit.
Dude, and I've met like I remember like one time like I met this girl in my dream who I've never seen her and I've never met this
Yeah.
girl. But as soon as I saw her, like I remembered her.
Right.
And I was like, oh my god,
feel
and
that.
like she's like, oh my god, it's been so long since we've seen each other. Like, we started hugging and crying and shit. Cause like I vividly remember, like I just know that I've known her from somewhere, but I don't know. Like when I woke up, I'm like, I don't know anyone like that in
I
real
get
life,
those,
dude.
but then as soon as I wake up, I forget the face.
Yeah,
The face
dude.
is just gone.
yeah. I
and
just
know
remember the
what
dress.
fuck?
She had like this nice
Exactly.
dress, and like it was like some old. I don't even.
I
Bro, it was.
yeah.
had
Yeah.
this one really vivid dream. This was like when I went up to my mom's and I was like, I hadn't been smoking cause like I had a tea break when I went up there, and it had been like a month since I stopped smoking. This is like after I broke up with my girl, and then like calling and shit, bro. It was like, so I'm just like I have this like crazy dream, bro, where I like wake up and it's just like me, this girl I was dating, and fucking my homie Colin, bro, and we're like sitting there and they're like, all right, we're gonna rob a jewelry store, and bang, and we're like, oh fuck, okay, let's go do this shit,
Gang,
and we
bro.
fucking robbed this shit, and I just remember it being like the most intense thing, and like there's this car in front of us, it's like, what's taking so long? What's taking so long? What's taking so long?
You're just like
And it's
running
like-
from the scene. And
And
you're
we're
stuck
like,
in
no,
traffic.
yeah, we're like, it's like running in water, bro.
Right.
So we're like trying to get out,
Yeah,
we're
like
running in
jelly,
water.
bro.
Every time
And
you
then-
run into
and
And
then
when you
like-
try to fight, bro,
And then
you
it's
just
crazy, like, and then like
Yeah. What
is
after
that?
it's like peak anxiety, like boom, I'm in it, like we're on the fucking highway, like in a
Yeah.
convertible, like yeah, let's go, and then I wake up like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
just
bro.
happened, bro?
And that should be vivid as. Like I remember.
Like that was
this-
like a past life thing right there, bro.
Yeah,
Or
well, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like I must have known that girl from a past life, bro.
Right.
Because I don't know her from this life, but I know that I know her,
Right.
but just not from this life. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Well, it's crazy when you talk about past lives too, because like I think you see people selling their souls and shit, bro, right? Like I think if you sell your soul, you just get sent back into the world and you get another chance to fucking like
Yeah.
after you die, you feel me? You're like locked into another person.
Well, it's like you become a slave. I
Well-
mean, yeah, you're.
You know, the fucking I don't know if it's Buddhist or Hindu shit. Probably more Hindu, but that entire thing is like reincarnation, kind of like you're saying.
It's
but-
both of them. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like not so much, you know, you do shit, you get a shittier life, but also that everyone is the same life, just living different experiences so that they all live one experience.
Yeah.
So it's
Because
kind of
God
like,
is one.
It's
you
like
know?
Exactly.
it's
the
like
infinity
a fucking,
is
Exactly.
all of. We're
You
each a
c-
piece
exactly,
of infinity,
exactly.
bro.
That's the thing. Is you can only become God after you've experienced every single
it's like
thing.
it's like a
God
fucking
became
spider
man
web.
so that man might become
Exactly.
God.
It's like a giant spider
Exactly.
web of living souls just like intertwined into
Yeah.
one thing, and that's God.
Yeah.
You know, and you live a shitty life. Maybe come back as a fucking worm. You know, and then
I'm
you gotta
saying.
eat dirt.
Well, think about, bro, because
because you gotta be everything.
because
to
they
be
have
God.
because you know how they have the Dharma wheel, right? And
Right.
that's the wheel of this
Yes,
wheel of
yes.
reincarnation. And in Buddhism, they have like 8 or 9 realms. And you know, there's the human realm, there's the animal realm,
Right.
there's the hells, there's the heavens.
Well, that's kind of like fucking Norse mythology, the 9
Yeah.
realms.
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
tree, and how they have at the bottom is the demons, and you have the dwarves, and
Yeah.
the light elves, which are like angels, and then the dark elves, which are like gnomes. They're ugly and they live in mountains and shit, which is like dwarves, kind of like.
That's probably
Right.
where the DMT sends
Well,
you
think,
to
bro,
go see the
but this is the
gnomes.
crazy thing,
Yeah.
because when we talk about oneness and how the whole point
We'll
is
put a pin in that.
when you think about becoming one, like it's like true, like it's just like they say in this is a great like just like they say in Avatar when Aang goes to go meet this like yogi master, he's like
Right.
the greatest lie is separation. When you say one, literally everything is one, bro. We're all the
Everything is
same.
one.
Like you have
Exactly, bro.
you surpass. That's when you transcend and you transcend boundaries and time and space
Right,
and separation.
I forget who said it, but I was listening to somebody saying that, you know, it's not so much that you look at somebody and you think of, you know, you walking in their shoes, but you are them, and
Yeah.
they've simply lived a different experience.
Yeah.
You know, they are you if you live
Yeah.
their life.
There is
Well,
no
it's
them.
it's kinda
or
like
there's
a-
just is.
There's you
It's
like-
in their life.
Yeah, it's all just you.
It's you.
Life
exactly.
is like one giant fucking poker game. You're dealt a fucking hand of cards,
Exactly.
bro, and
You're
have.
dealt a hand, and you're shitting on other people because that's your
if
hand.
you're dealt
Yeah.
a good hand, then you can fucking shit on people. But if you're dealt a shitty hand, you gotta work your way up.
Yeah.
You feel me? You can't.
Well, bro, this is
That's
bro.
why some people fold and some people fucking they fucking go up.
Right,
you
but think
feel me?
about this. This is what I was gonna. This is the
Life is a
craziest
gamble.
part that blew my mind that I hadn't really thought about. But like I said, you know, there's the different realms of suffering.
Right,
You know, you can
Yeah.
go to hell or you can go to heaven or you can be a human or an animal or become a ghost or whatever. But they're like the whole point, you know, of oneness is to be free.
Hold on.
My
Be right back.
bad. Sorry for the motherfucking voice crack, dog. That's fine.
It's okay, we can cut it.
No, you guys keep talking. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Alright, I'll have to bring this back up when you get here, though. But, like I was saying, bro, I mean, because, you know, especially because, like, you know, like you said, you've been studying more Buddhism and everything.
Right,
You know,
right.
they talk about, like I said, the whole wheel. But think about, if you want to escape the wheel, what's the only place on a wheel that is separated from all these, or that connects to all these different
Oh, fucking
realms?
Center.
The center, bro. The center of the Dharma wheel, bro, and that's where you, to release, like, to free yourself from suffering in the matrix and to achieve nirvana and to accept full oneness, to free yourself from all these different realms is to go in the middle. What's up, Rockwell? Are you good? All right. But like I was explaining to Gage, sorry, I know you guys are gonna hear this like 2 times now, whatever. But like I was telling Gage, like think about this, like, and this even gets on some. It's just crazy how many connections there are in this, but think about it, like
It's all
Colin.
connected.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, Colin. So think about like we're talking about the Dharma wheel, the wheel of rebirth that contains all the realms in it.
Right.
What's the only place on a wheel that is separate from all those realms and connected to all of them?
The center.
The center. Yeah, bro. That's you feel me, right? And like that even connects to, like, oneness and sacred geometry. I mean, even I mean, it's kind of a stretch to say sacred geometry, but I mean, think about it though. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's kind of like how we were talking about Atlantis. The way Atlantis is structured, it's like cylindrical circles of salt water, and then in the middle, there's literally a tap spring water, just where everybody can get fresh water.
And the strongest shape in geometry is the circle.
Yeah.
Is a sphere, and it's like, I mean, even think about down to the atomic level,
Right,
where it's all, it's like a mini solar system, and it's like, as they say, like as above, so below, and then you transfer up to the bigger one, and it's fucking the solar system. How we have the same veins as trees have veins, and fucking
like
the
atoms
rivers
look like solar systems, literally.
Yeah,
like they're revolving around a fucking.
I saw something crazy that just came out. So somebody, I forget who it was, but I think it was a university or some shit. They mapped the universe from like the Big Bang and the entire spread of every galaxy.
Okay.
And it showed that the entire thing is almost like a even bigger galaxy.
Yeah.
And
we just haven't reached out
exactly.
yet, because space is like expanding.
A crazy and the map of it's crazy though, because it almost looks like neurons and shit. You know? And that's the craziest thing to me is it's like, what if we're just a subatomic level on some other fucking universal scale?
As above, so below, bro. And that's
like we're a working part of God's body.
Exactly.
Like God is just like the amalgamation of the universe.
Yeah, how they talk about Mother Earth.
Like mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Like maybe we're just the powerhouse of the cell.
Yeah, maybe we're just we're just the mitochondria of Earth, dog.
Mitochondria of God.
You feel me? Yo. For real, bro. Mitochondria of God. That's got to be like a fucking fraternity, bro.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
That's great. That just sounds like a great fucking name to put on something, But
I'm gonna get that tattooed on my forehead.
Yeah, but see, mitochondria of God, dog.
Let everybody fucking.
Yeah, dude, you're gonna know what crew I bang, son. MOG, dog. Mog, bro. Big Mogs, big M's. But I mean, seriously though, I mean, like, and that's the famous saying from the Emerald Tablet is as above, so below, and it's all just a reflection,
cause,
bro.
Like, you look at the satanic shit that the Cabal promotes. Like, you look at the fucking the stupid ass fucking statues, Baphomet, and fucking all these things. They got the
Moloch,
Asbelow, Sobelow,
bro, Bohemian Grove,
where
the
we were
fucking
just talking about
dude,
here, bro.
Bro, he literally Alex Jones way back, and I know now they're bashing him, and he has because everyone connects him to the
bro. Did you see they're so he already got fucking fined like $1 billion. They're tapping on 2.75 trillion,
dude.
Who the fuck has 2.75 trillion?
That's like a tenth of the national debt.
Honestly,
you know what I'm saying? And you want to sue
more than many countries.
Well, and it shows how they're making an example out of him.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, because this is First Amendment, bro.
Already an example. He doesn't have anywhere near that.
Yeah, they already fucking slayed. They already ruined him for the rest of his life.
Bro.
But it's like, this is America. You have the right of free speech, bro. And now if people can sue you and ruin your lives and put you to jail for speaking.
Well, and that's the craziest thing is like the extra shit that they tacked on. That was for like not even that. That was for the shit he was selling. And there's like, oh, because so many people viewed it, he gets an extra 500 times the limit.
Oh, right, because they think everyone that watches it has bought. Like, they're just fucking him over on these numbers.
It's like, that's not how you really read the law.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, people, it's per charge.
Yeah.
He doesn't,
No, they're just persecuting him up there, and they're just showing,
they're just trying to wipe him.
Yeah, they're like, watch your mouth, or we can do this to you. It's
sweep him under the rugs.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like I said, that's gonna ruin him for the rest of his life, bro. I mean, you're never paying that back.
It's really scary, like where we're headed.
Well, I find it funny because I almost feel that all it's done is brought more attention to the shit he was saying. More people
Yeah.
actually started looking and saying, well, that kind of makes a
Yeah,
little
well, that's
sense.
what I'm saying. It's also because they try to demonize him.
Well, because
but he
he's
said
admitted,
so much.
he's
Yeah.
admitted before his show is a crazy act. But
Yeah.
a lot of the shit he says is based
Well,
in
and
truth.
he be speaking real shit and exposing
Exactly.
the government. Like honestly, like who knows about Sandy Hook? I'm not saying I agree with him, but I'm just saying the point is you have your free speech, but also
There's some questions.
yeah, they're trying to ruin him because not only this is the government showing they're gonna fucking hunt you down if you try to speak the truth about
and
him.
that's the craziest thing, is that especially with the freedom of speech and everything, you should be allowed to ask questions at the very least.
Yeah.
You don't have a right to answers, but you should
Right.
be allowed to
Yeah,
ask.
I'm allowed to think and
exactly.
point out.
I'm allowed to express my questions.
Yeah, point out the points that are missing in the proof,
Exactly, yeah.
and it's like, I mean, and he's been doing this shit since way back, and like we said, Bohemian Grove, he infiltrated that place. Bohemian Grove is a famous place you can read about, even like...
Well, he even, like, went up to one of the guys who was a part of it, and he acted like he was one of the people a part of it, and he even, like, got it on camera.
What's all this? Yeah, because he infiltrated...
He fucking acknowledged that Bohemian Grove
Well, yeah,
was
but
real.
you can even... President Nixon has an interview where he talks about going to Bohemian Grove, and he's like, that was the faggiest goddamn shit I've ever seen. And there's pictures of, like, Ronald Reagan and, like, there's so many, like, I can't remember their names,
well, it's
but...
crazy because they pick all the presidents there.
Yeah. It's all
and
these people
all
that
the
are famous politicians now, but they weren't politicians before this. It's like
But
their little fucking cult, bro.
It's like all the bloodlines, bro. Like you look at all the presidents.
Yeah.
There are only 2 presidents out of the fucking 40 whatever presidents that weren't related to this one king in Europe.
Yeah.
And it was Woodrow Wilson and Eisenhower. Those were the 2 that were not related to any other president, but all the other presidents are related to each other, and you can look it up.
Yeah.
It's proven, and like you look at the pictures of the king that they were like what's it called related to. He had an elongated head, and you go back to Egypt.
Crystal skull, dog.
No. You go back to Egypt, right? And the people they worshipped back then that were considered royalty had upwards of 300 IQ. Were these people with elongated heads?
Yeah.
These people
Alien
constructed.
DNA, bro.
Well,
They
exactly,
constructed.
bro.
They made and wrote out all this because they knew all this like sacred geometry, everything before us. Like we didn't come up with this back in like ancient Greece like we think we did or whatever.
Right.
This
Well,
was
think
all
about this. Ancient Greece and Egypt was like thousands of years before the time of Christ.
yes.
And we all like history.
Even Egypt and Greece was what, fucking 500, 1,000 years apart. There's
Yeah.
pretty good gap.
Well, yeah, where they
between that
started,
entire
and then
area.
that's when they,
Exactly,
yeah, because then the Middle East and Greece,
coincided,
and
yeah.
they all,
that
yeah,
shit spread, and exactly,
yeah. And like
Well,
we were
'cause-
saying with the Library of Alexandria, how they burned down all our ancient writings, and we entered the dark times because we lost all knowledge of our true
Fucking,
history.
right, that and the fall of Rome coincided.
Yeah.
Fucking just wiped out the powerhouse.
Yeah.
Fucking everyone
support of
fighting
the
for
world.
power. Exactly.
Yeah, and then it goes back into feudal, medieval
pretty
kings
much,
and
it
shit.
pretty much went back to before Rome existed. Back
Yeah.
to the tribal fucking shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, exactly. We just reverted, like just
Exactly.
feudal
Just went back.
societies and
Exactly.
like a reflection of Japan, how they had like the different
Exactly.
houses and like Game of Thrones shit, bro. Different kingdoms,
And,
all this shit.
it's crazy to think how places so far away can pretty much,
Reflect
almost
this-
reflect the exact same history.
Yeah, the
you
same
know?
pattern, bro, and it
Exactly.
shows it's and that even
Well,
it's
it's
like the
crazy
nature
'cause-
or nurture.
Well, like
Right.
it's crazy because we think this is like only humans do this, where we like pick out boundaries and we create lines and we create borders. But this is like embedded into nature. Like
yeah, animals do that shit,
wolves,
bro.
packs of wolves, literally do not cross each other's boundaries because they respect them like the boundary so much and they don't want to interfere.
Yeah.
It causes
Well,
problems.
because exactly, it's the same shit in humans. You start going into people's territories, you're taking their food. That's their life.
Taking
Yeah.
their
It's
food,
akin to
taking their-
killing
yeah.
them.
Yeah,
so
exactly. It
territory.
really
you
means
might
so
as
much
well.
more.
Exactly.
Yeah, because now we're so used to being in giant cities and
exactly. You
everything
got all your
provided
food here,
for us.
but in nature, you're pretty much
And that's
crossing
where
over
wars
somebody's
break
fence into
out.
their fridge.
yeah, everyone had to get up and work for their village to survive
Exactly.
every day. We got to farm our own food. We got to,
Yeah.
whether we're hunting or
Yeah, exactly.
farming.
You're coming into my territory, killing my deer. That was my
Yeah.
hunt for this week.
Yeah, it's
you
gonna
know?
feed us for the next fucking
Exactly.
winter, and you just fucking basically killed my family. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Get the fuck out of my shit, dog.
And now I gotta eat your family.
Yeah, now,
what you
yeah,
get.
bro. Now we're gonna eat your
Literally.
children.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like a
What's
fight
up?
to the death at that point.
Exactly.
Literally
Yeah.
in nature, and it's like war, bro. It's
Yeah.
just it's
Now we just fight wars over stupid shit.
well, it's like
Yeah.
in Revelations it talks about how you'll hear of wars.
Just
far
fight
and
wars for
wide.
money, bro.
Fight wars for oil, and then they're like, oh, we need oil to fight more wars.
Yeah. And then going down even right now with the whole fucking
Yeah.
Iran or whatever, like Iraq cutting off, like they're gonna stop
The
like half.
Saudis, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna stop like half the oil production, and we already know China and Russia
They're
and
buying
North
them up.
Korea. They're all in.
Exactly.
They're bro. They're forming like
Well,
the
they're
next Axis
fucking
powers.
neighbors. Exactly, they're all
Yeah.
fucking neighbors. They're right there.
Yeah,
They're like, hey,
and they just, bro, yeah, they just been biding their time.
exactly.
They're like, because the only reason America has succeeded is because we're the most powerful. But they're
well,
like,
we've always had a strategy of forward deployment. The way we don't get attacked is all our military is up against our enemies.
yeah,
So now we're
You wanna
kind of
attack, bro,
stepping
let's get
back. Now we're stepping back, which isn't such a bad thing, but it also gives the opportunity for them
Yeah.
to say, "Hey, we'll give you
Yeah.
tons of money if you just,
Well, dude, and like, cause people, we're so used to living in America, and we think, oh, the world's different, everyone's evolved and everything. But it's like China and Russia have never
Nope.
changed, bro. They're
Nope.
still communist shitholes
Exactly,
where they
bro.
use everyone. So it's like, it's not like they ever changed. It's not like they were a reflection of us. It's like the only time we've been able to dominate is because we have the power. But it's like, yeah,
I saw a crazy conspiracy that was saying the fall of the Soviet Union was a complete hoax. And it was only to stop the Cold War, so that people
that would
were
make sense, yeah.
lulled into a false sense of security.
yeah, because it never really fell.
Exactly.
But they're like, oh, if we just like say it did.
If we
you
say
know.
it did, now there's no imminent nuclear
Yeah,
threat.
we'll just
we can
change
get
our
back
face.
a little bit.
Yeah, because they're like, well, they're at war with the Soviet Union. If we just say that we had a change of policy and
Exactly.
there's a coup or whatever and the government changes, then all of that is null because they're like, that's
exactly.
related to the
look
old
at,
regime.
Look at the history. They went from dictatorship, slight democracy.
Yeah, but
And then shifted into present day
democracy,
Putin.
bro.
Putin being dictator once
Yeah.
again. It just
They're like,
kind
yeah,
of a
you
roll.
can vote, but if you vote for this guy, we're gonna shoot you.
Exactly,
So
you know?
I mean, make your choice wisely. But yeah, it's like they never change. It's like
Exactly.
they just been biding their time. They still want to take over the world and shit. So like, oh, once America's weakened, they're like, well, it's our time to fucking rise back up.
It's like North Korea calling themselves a what do they call themselves now? They're not like a socialist. They changed their name to something, but they're still
Just
the
some
same.
political bullshit,
exactly.
yeah.
They're still the same communist regime that they started with before. Kim Jong Un, Kim Il Sung.
Yeah, it's the
all
same
those guys.
family.
It's the same family.
I mean,
that's just passing the shit down.
in North
you know?
Korea, like all their citizens are so indoctrinated, they don't get internet or anything. They believe like Kim Jong Un or his father could like talk to dolphins,
Right.
and he invented the taco. And think about
Yeah.
that. We think that's so crazy to us. We're like, well, how do they not know? But it's like that shit is going on right
Well,
now.
Well,
bro.
it's
Right.
crazy because you think about America, bro. We're so like plugged in right now. If they just shut down the power and said, "All right, you guys have enough knowledge. All right, you're done.
Yeah.
We're fucked." At that point, it's just like
We come
chaos.
to rely so much on our
Well,
government, bro.
That's why we
that
have to
kind of
break
brings up a
off.
crazy point. We're in this kind of heated age. Imagine if some fucking EMP came. How many people are going to be running to their phones or the computers for looking what to do?
Yeah.
You're not going to fucking, you have no way to know.
Like
Yeah.
newspapers are like redundant now. Like nobody gets
Exactly,
news
bro.
ever
Yeah.
like fucking transported to their house anymore.
Yeah. Well,
That's-
they've made us
that's a
so
dying
reliant
breed.
on technology.
Exactly.
Nobody knows how to survive
Everybody's
without the system.
Everybody this like generation has gone paperless. If you've noticed,
Yeah.
paper has gone
That-
missing.
They're trying to transfer that fucking
Yeah.
everything. They're trying to track everything through digital
Yeah.
transactions. Fucking everything will be
Yeah.
trackable.
We got kids sitting in classrooms on computers, learning from the computers while a teacher just
Right, exactly.
standing, like,
Just
sits in
making
their
sure
desk.
they're on the computers.
Yeah, like what the fuck is this, bro?
Right.
Like,
It's like straight 1984 shit. Bro.
yeah. Well, think about this, bro. In 1984, George Orwell talks about how when we started going into this dark, how when the Matrix took over, they're like, we burned books and banned books. That's what we're doing right now.
Well, you know what I find the craziest part about 1984? Everyone always talks, oh, the censorship, the censorship. That's not the most Orwellian thing of 1984. The most Orwellian thing is the party loyalty in 1984. Everyone has been so brainwashed
V for
that
Vendetta shit.
they don't question anything. They are told something and they say, well, they said it. It's fact.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
literally.
They don't even have the concept of questioning it because it is fact.
Yeah, connected to the North
2
Korea
plus
shit.
2 is 5.
Yeah.
You
They're like,
know,
all right, that's
they-
all we know.
that's
and they
fact.
don't question
Yeah.
it too.
They,
like
they
literally.
can't even think of questioning it.
Yeah.
Because
seen,
why
I
would
saw
they?
this
Yeah.
TikTok video. This guy going around asking people is like, "Who's the first president of America?" And this guy is like, George Floyd." Is like, no. He's like, "Oh, it's a George or something." It's like
Yeah.
George Washington. It's like, are you
Yeah.
fucking stupid? Like this is the way. This is like the.
But they're just dumbing us all down, bro.
Literally no.
They
like
really are.
our
Yeah.
school systems have gone from like extreme levels of learning to fucking basic fucking common core fucking math and reading levels.
Math isn't even the same math we learned, bro.
Well, you know,
They
I was
switched
just
it in our school, like when we were doing math.
Yeah,
Exactly.
in the
I
middle
was
of
just
it.
talking to somebody else about this. The biggest textbook maker in fucking America, McGraw-Hill. They make fucking
Yeah.
every single textbook, bro.
Monopoly
What
shit,
kind
bro.
of shit are they putting in there? What aren't they putting in there, bro?
Mhm.
Fucking the history books,
Literally.
English books,
Yeah.
everything, you know?
Yeah, and
They
people are
have a way-
taught
they-
not to question.
Exactly, and they can just shape the fucking education
Yeah.
fucking landscape that way.
Yeah, and
you
that's
know?
like it's literally Orwellian right now. It's like we're just
Exactly.
like, oh well, they told us this, so this is what it is.
Exactly, it's in the textbooks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
check-
exactly,
check
bro.
the textbooks.
Fucking
It's like,
robots,
what
bro.
the fuck isn't in
Yeah,
the
and
textbook?
it's like when did we start learning to question?
It's
Exactly.
like it's like when you look at a fucking like a preschooler compared to a senior, bro. Like you ask him what he wants to be, he's gonna fucking list off a bunch of things. I want to be a fucking astronaut.
Yeah.
I want to be a fucking firefighter. You ask a fucking senior in high school what the fuck he's gonna do with his life, it's I don't know. I don't fucking like.
Yeah.
It's
No
like
one- yeah.
shit show.
That may be
Yeah.
the military.
Literally,
Yeah,
like
they're like whatever will make me the most
sell-
money.
I'm gonna sell
Exactly.
my
You know?
fucking body to the military
There
so
you
they
go.
could send
Yeah.
me and go die.
Just
for
so we
some
could
fucking
survive, bro. We have to
useless
pay.
war.
We have to pay to live. Like we make fun of like
Only
video
fucking
games.
living being on the planet
Yeah.
have to pay to live.
Yeah, and it's
That's
like we make,
crazy.
and it's like it's even like as above, so below. In video games, we like make fun of. We're like, oh, you gotta pay to play. You gotta pay
Yeah.
the subscription to play. This, bro, we're living in the video game.
We are.
We
the
have to
video
pay
We
to
are.
play, bro. You know what I'm saying? We have to pay to live, dog.
It's literally the Matrix, bro.
Like,
We're embedded so far into the Matrix. It's just like there's no reverting back.
Yeah. fucking y'all the boss shit, bro. Well, it's like, and that's why we have the one true spark of life in this false reality.
It's all heating to like a fucking closing, bro. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like Revelation.
Well, and that's
shit.
what they speak about, and that's another thing. Like how we all have the Diluvian story of the flood. All stories talk about an end times or an apocalypse where the world will be covered in plagues and wars and famine and disease, and the sun will turn black and the stars will fall from the sky, and this whole destruction and then rebirth. You know, like they even talk about like not only because there's revelations obviously from the Bible, which you know it's like Christ will come and destroy the world and then create a brand new. He'll reign for 1,000 years and create a brand new.
That too. That's always the interesting thing to think about because people talk about the revelation and they think, oh, everyone just goes to heaven, but that's not really what it says in the Bible.
Yeah.
They talk about making Earth God's kingdom,
Yeah, they
You
talk
know?
about bro.
rebuilding
bringing
Earth
heaven-
as
yeah.
exactly.
They're like,
Make
it'll be
Earth
the new
God,
heaven, bro.
exactly.
It'll be a perfect eternal world. And same thing they talk about in Ragnarok. They talk about same story. The stars will fall from the sky. The sun will turn black. There will be wars and famines, and the gods will die. But then the earth will be reborn. And then the gods will be born in the same garden, and everything will restart in the same way. And same thing in Hinduism. They talk
Right.
about the Kali Yuga
Yeah.
and how there's like the four incalculable amounts of time as long as we're in this time dimension as which we perceive as linear until you free
Right.
yourself and you realize time is all. If it's all infinite, everything happens at once at all times. Like there is no time, right?
It's
and
like relativity.
Yeah, it's like we're only perceiving it right now from this point. You know, and then it gets into like
Right.
you know like
Exactly.
3D and then 4D, how fourth dimensional creature, like even like Interstellar. You know, it's like they're beyond time, bro. It's like time is just
Exactly.
time is just like a circle. It's not a
like
line.
explaining relativity. Like nothing. Like everything seemed to go like super duper fast. Like from like the billions and billions of years until like life started, and then everything relative started like time
Yeah.
started to ramp.
Well, if you're
up.
not aware of time,
Exactly.
is it even flowing? You know,
Right.
it's like we only like we're perceiving it in this linear fashion. But it's like time is like a circle. You know, it's like when you view it from outside, you can go to any point, you can see any point on this whole circle. And they talk about, you know, like the end of the Kali Yuga, how like this even, you know, because a lot in Hinduism they connect Christ. They say he was one of the avatars of like Vishnu
Right.
or
Yeah.
Indra, I think, or one of the gods, and he would come and they said Buddha was an incarnation, and he would and whenever the world would fall into darkness, they would send like an avatar who would come back and bring back truth and life. And I mean, you know, it's like the same story in all of this shit,
Right.
bro.
And it's kind of crazy that you bring up Krishna,
Yeah.
because we were talking about Atlantis, and you know, there's this the eastern city in India, which is Dwarka. You know, that
Yeah.
shit got sunk by Krishna or Vishnu. Krishna was the current prince or king or
In the
something at
Bhagavad
the time.
Gita.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he, they were going to this war, and Vishnu came down as his avatar and essentially showed him or told him that he had to do this war for the betterment of mankind.
Yeah.
And then some way or another, in the book I believe they say magic missiles and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They sunk
flying
the city.
fortresses
exactly.
and shit,
They
dude.
sunk the city of Dwarka into the sea on the coast.
Yeah.
And then, my belief is that possibly spread the story of Atlantis into the fucking east and the west and everywhere,
Yeah.
That's an actual sunken city.
Yeah. Have we found Dwarka?
Yeah, well, because there's a current city of Dwarka.
Okay.
And they've done excavations, and there's like 3 cities underneath it.
Well, it's kind of like Egypt. Like you look underneath.
Exactly.
There's pillars underneath all the sand. They go under and they find like these giant fucking these massive buildings.
Right, like the huge Hindu temples with the layers and the layers and layers of gold and shit. They found those in Dwarka, like an island right in the coastal bay that has a current temple, and then there's the same height of temple underneath it.
Yeah.
And then they go deeper, and there's
built
a
on top
whole
of it.
nother temple.
Yeah, even in common day, you can go to London.
Exactly.
You can go to England. There's literally layers of towns upon towns.
There's
exactly.
Yeah.
There's a whole underground city, not as in sewage, literally a city.
Right.
It was the old city,
exactly.
and they just built on top of it, bro.
It's fucking insane,
dude.
That's good. I low-key wish we lived somewhere like New York, because I'd love to just go fucking explore the
the urban
subways.
exploration.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've seen they have whole YouTube channels dedicated.
Right.
Like that's where I would.
That'd be fun as fuck.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Just.
That's what I'd be doing if I lived there.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the underground cities of Las Vegas, but it's just like mostly like dirty sewers.
Like the tunnels,
it's just the tunnels, bro. It's just fucking. I mean, I feel bad for the people, I mean, I hope they make it out, but I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Well, you look at like the homeless problem, dude. Like America's not doing anything about it. Like it sucks. Like people are living underneath Vegas and fucking
we gotta help
sewers
Ukraine
and shit.
before.
We're programmed to suffer, dog.
No.
We sent like 100
Fuck
bills.
Ukraine,
over there,
right?
bro.
Let's bring all these immigrants in. You feel me?
Yeah.
And let's just give them these like fucking massive
fucking 5-star hotels that they're letting
5-star
them stay in.
hotels,
Yeah,
Xboxes, like fucking
Yeah.
everything. But they won't do shit for the
Yeah,
homeless.
and I'm not against helping the immigrants, but it's like you're gonna give them
We gotta
better
solve
things.
one problem at a time.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
help
You know?
them and everything, like bring them over. But it's like you're gonna treat them better than you even treat your own citizens.
Exactly.
And
They're already here.
half of the fucking homeless are veterans, bro. Like,
And we're spending all this money on tons of stuff, and we're having all these water crises still. Fucking Flint, Michigan, Mississippi. There's places
they
that
just
still
found
don't
a
have clean
radioactive
water.
waste
Yeah,
at an
exactly.
elementary school, bro.
Dude.
You saw that?
No.
You should. Literally, just a week ago,
what the
they had to
fuck?
shut down a whole elementary
That's
school
fucking crazy.
because they found radioactive waste, like just right next, and all these kids are being irradiated by this fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
fucking Planet Hulk shit, bro.
yeah. Well, that's all.
See, in 50 years, we're gonna find out that was a CIA experiment.
That's what I was. All this shit is from like all this. Even if you go back to
We're
like the
guinea
50s,
pigs, bro.
yeah. Even if you go back to
Exactly.
the 50s when they're first testing the fucking nukes and shit, and like
Right.
testing it on like soldiers and like seeing the effects of radiation, and it's like they did all this shit. It's like people really believe that their government doesn't lie to them.
Right. Even when we were studying shit like syphilis and AIDS, they were fucking giving people syphilis
Yeah,
and AIDS so
on
that they could
purpose.
cure them.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't even cure them. They'd be like, "No, we want to study you long."
Yeah, they're like,
Right.
well,
They'd
this
be
is
like,
a
no, we gave it
vaccine.
to a monkey, and
Right.
the monkey gave
We
it
want.
to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. We want to see how you die. That's what we're actually.
Yeah, they would like
studying.
test the vaccine
Exactly.
on these people in like South
Well, it's
America
crazy,
and shit,
like,
and
these
then they all
fucking-
end up with the disease.
It's like the fucking COVID vaccines, like fucking somehow like Bill Gates becomes a fucking doctor during the pandemic, and he goes out there and he's like giving these fucking
Well, that's
kids in like India and Africa like fucking doses
Right.
of the vaccine, and
Yeah.
it's fucking killing them.
that's what I find crazy about Bill Gates. Bill Gates, he got popular with the Microsoft stuff, and in the Microsoft stuff, he overstepped with the privacy and everything. People fucking hated him. And then he went underground, became a philanthropist, and then he reemerges as this, I know tons about health and vaccines, and I'm a doctor, and I have
Right.
all this money into helping people. But then he goes to India, spreads these different vaccines around. The COVID vax was one of them. But he had another vaccine there quite a few years ago, that had fucked tons of kids up. You know,
Yeah.
kids were coming out fucking legless, fucking, amputated and shit.
Homunculus shit, bro.
Fucking, he got like kicked out of India at that point.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. We're so that's still happening right now. There's
Right.
fucked up shit going on all around the world, and don't get me wrong, I'm happy that we're blessed to live
We are blessed.
in a nice
bro.
society.
Like, we are probably the most blessed people on this earth.
Yeah, but we've become so desensitized to the reality of what's going on in this world and just stuck in our own little bubble of, utopia-ish. I mean, it's falling
Right.
apart as we speak,
Yeah.
but,
We think our lives are hard, and then we forget and see what other people's
Yeah.
lives are like. You feel me?
millions of children starving, like right now, like they're dying
Right.
as we speak. And that's not, we hear that all the
We
time.
take a lot of shit for granted, bro.
Yeah,
It's-
and we become so desensitized to like I said, it's like we hear that and it's like, oh yeah, we know that happened. They're like, oh, another school shooting. It's like, oh, this shooting only had
Yeah.
4 people dead, so it's really not that bad. It's like, nah, bro, like this shit is all bad,
it's
bro.
all
Like
bad.
this shit is happening right now. We're not doing anything
And
about
it's
it.
funny because like you look at like Hollywood and all this shit, they're all so big on guns and all this stuff in the movies and shoot, pow, kill, but then you go there and it's like no fucking anti-gun laws and there are like all these murders and shit happening there. And it's like you look at all these places with strict and high gun laws.
Right, they got the worst.
They got the
rates.
worst rates of murder with gun violence. It's because
Yeah.
people like the people who
It's
get
like
the guns.
prohibition.
The people who get the guns illegally will always get the guns
Facts.
illegally one way or another. Guns are never going to be stopped
Right, and
reproduced.
well-
They're not going to be out of circulation ever since
Yeah,
they're
same with
already
drugs.
in.
Right.
Same with
Yeah.
drugs. It's like if you take away the sensible person with the fucking gun, then you give the fucking wrong person with the gun.
Well,
who's gonna
exactly.
get it
The only
illegally, and
people
it's
who are
just-
going to
chaos.
follow
Yeah.
gun laws are, the law-abiding people. Criminals aren't going to follow gun laws.
Right.
Exactly.
So you
They're
can't.
already getting them illegally,
Exactly.
bro.
You
like,
can't make a law targeting criminals because
Yeah.
they're already fucking criminals.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
That's
like
the
we know
point.
it's illegal.
Exactly,
You
you
know,
know?
and it's like this is always what I bring up is the example of prohibition. Like when you make something illegal, the problem only becomes 10 times worse, and instead, it's just producing more
Right, just goes
crime.
under-
Well, it's
Ground, yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
because you look at Prohibition, and right after Prohibition happened, they banned weed, bro. Like during Prohibition, and then weed stayed banned.
Yeah,
And what happened is
fucking
the
war on
pharma-
drugs,
the
bro.
pharmaceutical companies go in, and then they start creating all this other fucking
The
shit.
opiates of the masses.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
then like that's where the MK Ultra shit happens. They start testing all these new drugs they create and all this shit on people and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it like legit fucks the society. And now we look at big pharma like, oh, thank you, you got all these vaccines. And like
Yeah.
fucking 10 years ago, we were like, fuck
Yeah.
big pharma.
They're not
We're
interested
dying
in
from
healing you.
opioids.
Even
Yeah.
even nowadays, you look
They
at
see you
across
as
the
a
country.
customer, not a
exactly.
patient.
Yeah.
My home fucking state, Oklahoma, that's the biggest opioid fucking epidemic of the country. Fucking Oklahoma City, Tulsa, one of the worst fucking areas for opioid crisis, and that's because Big Pharma got a huge foothold with all the fucking oil workers that were like, oh damn, my back, oh my legs, my hip, and they
Yeah.
were like, here, have some opioids.
Worked them to death.
Have
Got them
some
hooked on
opioids.
some more shit.
have some
you know?
painkillers, and then they were like, oh, I'm addicted, and they're like, oh, here's some more.
Yeah, exactly.
This will help you get
And
off,
now-
and it's just
now-
the
yeah,
same
'cause
shit.
they're not interested in healing
Exactly.
you. They're interested in making money off of you.
Exactly.
And if they heal,
Make
whatever's
a problem,
wrong with you.
Make a problem, sell a solution.
People
Yo,
today put so
facts.
much trust into our government, into our health plans, into everything, and it's just like, what if that fails, bro?
yeah,
Like, what if, like, legit, like, the people who own, like, our media, own our, like, everything, own our food, bro.
Well, the
Yeah.
entire insurance and the big pharma and the medical thing, it's all like a huge not necessarily conspiracy, but it's all working together.
Yeah.
The insurance is super high so that the doctors and shit will get paid more, and then they do all sorts of unnecessary treatment so that your insurance has to do more. And
It's-
it's all
Well, it's
yeah.
like the
go.
Federal Reserve, bro. Like, it's like the taxes and everything, bro. Like you go back, like, how we were talking about how all the presidents were related, bro. Like, fucking, how the only two were fucking, I can't remember them right now, but, like, Abraham Lincoln is one of the
Right.
presidents that
said
are related.
Wilson and Eisenhower.
Yeah, Wilson and Eisenhower were the only two that weren't. So that means Lincoln, the people that, like, the guy that everybody thinks is this awesome guy, was fucking also related. He, like, when you look at fucking the end of slavery, like, slavery didn't really end. It just
Right.
got recreated into a new massive thing. 'Cause
There's
you
slavery going
'cause
on
you look-
right now.
You look at, like,
all over the world.
you look
bro.
at after the world, like, Civil War, bro, like, money changed, everything changed, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you look like that's where like the real Federal Reserve
Yeah.
started, bro.
Because
That's
all
where
the
like
people that ruled
real
everything.
like our version of slavery today was
Right.
created.
Yeah, like all the
Like-
people that own everything, they got together and they're like, how can
Yeah.
we put all our money together to rule the
How
whole
can
fucking
we own
world?
more?
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy because they did the same thing in the Napoleonic era with the fucking Rothschilds, where like
Exactly.
Yeah.
the Napoleon was fighting a war, and back then there was no way of communication to say whether or not he won or lost. And by that time Napoleon
Yeah,
won,
by the time the
he was-
horse rides across the desert.
they were
you
coming
know?
back, and they had already won. The fucking Rothschilds are like, oh fuck, Napoleon lost, guys. That means
Yeah.
fucking they're coming in, they're taking all our shit. So you got two things.
Two plans of action.
Two plans of action, bro. Either you sell your shit to us and we give you money
Exactly.
and you can go get whatever you need now, or you fucking die,
Keep your shit.
You get
and then they're gonna
pillaged.
Take it over.
or you get fucking pillaged.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what happens is all these people fucking sell their shit to the bank, and then all this shit, and then they're getting ready for it to get like fucking smushed and creamed
Yeah.
by this other fucking country. And Napoleon comes back and he's like, yeah, I fucking won, bitch.
Yeah.
And then they're
Yeah,
like,
now
what?
we own Europe.
And then
yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
wait. What about all our shit? Can we get that back? And then
Right.
the banks are like,
Yeah,
yeah,
now-
you
now
can
the
get it. You
bank
can
owns
you
it.
can
Buy
get
back
it
with
back.
interest.
You can
Yeah.
get it back, but double.
Yeah, buy it.
Yeah.
Double. Like, what the fuck do you do then?
Yeah.
You're fucked.
You buy it back
Yeah,
with interest,
the
dog.
whole
That's how the fucking central banking started.
exactly. I
And-
was looking at something the other day out of the book, and it was talking about the Bank of Commerce Central International,
Yeah.
and it started out of the Federal Reserve,
Well,
and it created the system of credit. Because we didn't have really the system of credit as we know it before the Federal
Right.
Reserve was created, and we were around for 100 years. before
Money
that.
isn't real.
Exactly.
Money isn't
But
real.
now, we
It's just
live
a
on the
tax
system
on
of
its
credit.
tax.
Yeah.
Everything is credit now.
Yeah.
You know, you have
the
a
banks
credit
run
score.
on credit,
exactly.
bro. The banks
exactly.
don't even have your money,
Interest,
dog.
credit, exactly.
Yeah. Like the banks, like they don't have your money. They're all living on a system of debts to
Right,
each other.
That's why
Exactly.
they have a limit on what you can pull out at ATMs, at banks and shit, because they don't
Exactly.
have it.
Yeah,
That's why
it's-
when the recession happened back in the fucking Great Depression, when they went to go take out all their money, the bank was like, we don't have your fucking money.
Yeah.
That's when
That's-
people started jumping out the
Exactly.
fucking
Yeah.
window and
That's
killing
how shit
themselves.
went
Follow
from a
Wall Street.
recession to a depression. It's
Yeah.
because it
Depression.
got bad, and then people try to take out their money, and they're like, "We got no money,"
don't
and
exist.
fucking nobody has money.
Yeah,
anymore.
all your money is just a number on your phone.
exactly.
And it's like real materials
That's
is
the
what you
shit is
need, bro.
crazy.
And that's where like sayings were like fucking too poor to fucking have a pot to piss in come from, because literally back then people had they were too poor to own a pot to piss in so they can clean people's shoes. For
Jeez,
money.
bro. Yeah.
Literally, that's what that fucking saying
Yeah.
means. My great grandfather lived through the fucking depression. He like told my grandpa and my dad a bunch of this
Yeah.
shit.
We
before he
forget how
passed
even
away.
just like 50 years ago, bro.
right.
Like
Well, no, it's crazy. Like after World War II, like we were just soft, dumbed down. Like the baby boomers is what fucking ruined us, bro. It's like this false sense of security. Is
Well,
like,
easy.
yeah.
You know that fucking saying. What is it? Hard times create strong men create good.
bitches.
Create good times create
Create
weak
bitches.
men. Yeah.
And bitches create hard times, and hard
Exactly.
times create good men.
Just
good
a cycle,
men
bro.
create
And
great
also
times,
it's-
great times create
and not
bitches.
only that,
Yeah.
but it's also, I mean, because now at this point, like we're saying, this whole, the idea of America and freedom, and even written into the Constitution, is by the people, for the people. And it's like, it used to be like the people are supposed to have the power. And it's like we've given all power to the governments and to the institutions. We rely on them now. And we just fall, it's another monarchy. The whole point
Right.
was to escape the monarchy and have true freedom. And it's like this is just another disguise of the monarchy, bro. It's the same shit. They're all ruling the same shit, bro. We still like, you know, the president is just a new version of the king and all his little emperors and all his little fucking, you know what I'm saying? It's the same exact thing.
It's crazier because it gets even deeper than that, because the president isn't really even the king. The
Right.
president is just the puppet
Yeah,
of the
the
king.
puppet of
Right,
the king.
exactly.
Because
bro.
the kings are really the 13 bloodlines of the fucking cabal who sit there with all the fucking like literally 80% of the world's fucking wealth.
Yeah.
These 13
Well,
families
divide and
own.
conquer. All these different companies, they just create, you know, but it's all run by the same one
Right.
true company. But that's, you know, divide and conquer. They're like, even how we separate people are like, well, if we can get, you know, we can get these people to fight to be Democrats and these can fight to be Republicans, and we
Well,
can
yeah,
have everyone.
They separate the masses by
Yeah.
their differences. They're like, okay, we're gonna separate you by political status,
Race,
religion,
gender.
race,
Well,
gender.
it's
Yeah.
the illusion of choice. You know, do you want this guy or this guy? But behind the scenes, they want both things to happen.
and they're working
there's no
together.
choice.
Exactly.
It's
all
two
just
wings of the same exact
It's
bird.
all just a progression. They want both sides to
Yeah.
win. But you just have this illusion of, oh, we're winning because this guy's winning, or oh, we're winning because this person's winning. But they're winning because they're both always constantly winning.
They already we're not running shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people don't run
Right.
shit. Like, they just...
The people who are off the grid fucking doing their shit on their own, they're running shit.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking about the fall of the Soviet Union created this false sense of security. 9/11 did the exact opposite. They used that to create this sense of, oh, we need to invade your privacy
We need to go
to
and-
protect
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
To protect you, you need to give up your privacy. And everyone went, oh, of course.
Bro, I'm gonna
and
see if I can-
nowadays,
bro.
we're still feeling that, and we have entire people that, that don't even know what it's like to not live in this privacyless society.
Right.
They've never experienced something without tons of cameras everywhere, or without, your fingerprints being tracked, that
Well,
kind
it's
of
crazy.
shit.
You watch old movies like from the 70s and stuff. There's no cameras. There's no phones.
Right.
There's nothing in their hands. They're not like there's no
There's
like
real human interaction,
real
bro.
human
you know?
interaction. And then like back then you could get away with a lot.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Shit as simple as, like every mic in the room being bugged. That's commonplace. That was revealed back in 2013,
Yeah.
Bro,
They
let me
do
s-
that shit
yeah.
on the regular. But everyone's so used to it now, they say, oh, well, of course your microphone is bugged. That's how you catch terrorists. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's not how we used
John
to catch
Snowden,
terrorists.
bro.
Exactly.
John Snowden. They're still hunting him down
Edward
for...
Snowden.
Edward Snowden.
Oh, yeah, hey.
Yeah.
Wherever John Snowden is, shout out to that guy.
John
But
Snowden.
Edward Snowden, like, they're still hunting him down. He's still having to go into hiding from the U.S. government for exposing that they're listening to all our shit.
I know, that's
Here,
the
let me see
craziest
if I
thing.
can call
They
the
didn't even,
homie.
say we're sorry. They didn't stop any of the programs. They just labeled him a traitor.
Let's see if I can call the homie John, because I was telling him we were going to do the podcast, and he's like, bro, if y'all are getting into conspiracies, you got to let me hop on that, dog. We'll see if
Yeah.
he answers.
You think he's at work or nothing?
He told me to call him, so we'll just see if he answers.
Hey, yo, that's what's up.
Let me get that.
Oh God. Quick caller break.
Caller break. 1 sec. If he doesn't answer, I'm going to just leave him a fucking... Be like, John, you're fucking gay. We're on the podcast live. You're not fucking answering? Yeah, you
It's
really...
like that game show where you get one call and it's like he doesn't fucking pick up. It's like shit.
Yeah. Hey, John, you're gay, bro. We're live on the podcast, and you didn't answer. I'll see you later, bro. But fucking... Hey, thank you.
Butt fucking.
Butt fucking, dog.
It's like Idiocracy. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
Instead of Fuddruckers, is butt fuckers.
Bro, we are literally in Idiocracy,
I was
bro.
just
Right.
talking to my fucking coworker
getting
about
there.
that today, bro. How we literally are in the society of Idiocracy. We're almost to the point where we're feeding fucking plants electrolytes. I'm that serious, bro.
Yeah, they need Gatorade.
They need Gatorade.
Yeah.
Terry Crews.
Like,
for
why isn't
president,
the Gatorade
motherfucker.
growing the fucking
on.
plants? I don't get it. Like, what's
Go,
happening?
go
They
sit
have
at home in your recliner
electrolytes.
with a
Yeah.
toilet in it so you can shit and watch
There you go.
shows, and we're like a show literally dedicated
bad
to where
idea.
guys get
Yeah.
kicked in the nuts, bro.
Yeah. It's
Like-
like fucking, it's like Rick and Morty, bro. We're trapped in the Matrix,
It's
and
just
every
top
10
point
seconds
oh.
it kicks you in the nuts, dog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
No,
feel me?
life has a way of
Yeah.
kicking you in the fucking nuts. I'm gonna be real dead ass, bro.
Life, bro. That's like even like the 4 noble truths of Buddha. The first one, as Gage was saying, suffering exists. We exist in suffering, but there is a path out of suffering, and that's what we have to find to become one, to free ourselves of desire, which is the main craving, which is the cause
Well,
of suffering,
exactly.
like
if
you were saying.
desire to
Yeah.
not suffer, then you're causing your own
Yeah,
suffering.
it's like you only are
You
suffering
gotta
because you
realize
want.
that. Exactly.
Yeah, you only
gotta
suffer
realize
because you
that.
want to be
You
different
can't
Right.
from
want
whatever
shit.
state this is. But it's
Exactly.
like once you free yourself from wanting anything.
It's like almost a memento mori. Like everybody has to realize at some point that you are gonna die. You feel me? Like,
Amen.
there's no life without suffering.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I feel like a lot of those Buddhists, those people that get enlightened, they go out to help people because that's the next stage from wanting stuff is
Yeah,
helping
Bodhisattva, bro.
helping other people not want.
Yeah, because they say in Buddhism there's the two, and this, obviously this is just a different splitting off of the same
Right.
mythology, But they say how there's the Buddhas, you know, who transcend and go into nirvana forever.
Right.
But then they talk about the bodhisattvas, who make it all. They make it to nirvana, but in order to they stop themselves from entering fully in it, only so that they can come back and keep coming back to help people. And I think it's like the vow of the bodhisattva is to say, I promise to always come back until I can free. He's like, I know that there's an infinite number of conscious
Right.
beings, but I vow to always come back to help them until not a single one is left.
Right.
And it's like, but then also think about it. If there's infinite conscious beings,
Right, because in that you're also experiencing
Yeah.
each being.
yeah,
You know, you're helping both you and
yeah,
them.
because you are the collective.
Exactly.
You know, it's
You
like
know?
if you become a shitty person and you commit crimes and everything, you're just hurting your whole, not only yourself but your society. But if you grow and you help each other and we work together, that's how you better your society as a collective. Like, you know, as above, so below. Better the person,
Yeah.
better the society.
Right.
You know? That's some real ass shit, bro.
Amen, bro.
Yeah, let's see what this guy has to fucking say. Or, what was, because we were talking about Gilgamesh, bro.
Yeah,
Bruh. Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna unpin that real quick. So, have you ever met the elves?
In
DMT?
DMT. I've met jesters, but I haven't met elves.
Tell him about.
And the praying mantises.
Tell him
but-
about the
The egg?
Yeah.
egg, bro.
Oh, we got a live DMT trip story right here, bro. I know that's what the whole channel's about, so here we go. This is our bread and butter.
All right, this was a very interesting experience. I was doing it with my brother, actually, right? The first time I'd ever showed him it. He'd never done it, so I
his
showed him
brother
the cart.
is quite a bit older than him.
Right,
too.
right.
And tell them, what are your experiences before this? You know, like you smoked DMT and acid and...
Right. You know, DMT, acid, a little bit of shrooms, you know.
Yeah, so experience
mostly
psychonaut.
acid, right?
Yeah.
Nothing
I've done a lot of
compares
acid.
to DMT.
Yeah,
But not
obviously it'll
nothing,
never prepare
right.
you, but experience
Besides
psychonaut.
like salvia, but it's like a sister. It's not really like DMT.
So, you know, me and him are doing it, going back and forth. We're kind of getting light taps, and then I get one good breakthrough. And I lie back, and this room kind of
Yeah, get
emerges.
closer to the mic just in case.
This room kind of emerges. And, it's kind of like a house, and I'm being guided through it. But I can't see who's guiding me. Like, there's nobody there. But at the same time, I know that I'm being guided.
Yeah.
You know, there's something there leading me through this
Yeah.
house. And they're
You hear
saying,
those-
welcome, you know, this is this room. You know, there's this big living room. It's this nice big white house with these pillar walls. And, you know, it's kind of Christmas time, so there's lots of red and there's a fire going. And then they lead me through this hallway, you know, white hallway, kind of pillar walls with the panels and everything. And they lead me through this hallway into this kind of wide room, probably twice the size of this room. And in the center, it's a completely empty room, except for the center is a pedestal, and it's a pillar, and on it is an egg, like a Fabergé egg, a golden spiraling white and
It's
red
like moving and shit?
exactly.
Okay, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's ever getting, you know, more and more intricate, you know, it can infinitely more. And you know, because as first you see it and it's just kind of, you know, it's got the gold and the white, but then as you kind of walk into the room and you get closer, it spirals and gets more intricate and more spiral and more gold, and it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then you zap out of it and you're like, where the fuck did I go?
Oh, you gotta find out, be like, what's inside the egg, dog?
Exactly.
That's
And
when you
if-
become enlightened, bro.
Well, because I keep thinking back, why did they show me that?
Well, yeah, 'cause you're there to learn something.
Exactly, you know? That was an experience. That, like, legit, the egg was right there. I could have grabbed it.
Yeah.
You know, it was right there. And
No, that's exactly what Terrence McKenna talks about when he's like, he meets the elves and they show him these
right,
or the
I
elves are
couldn't
like,
see anything, but it was almost like a warp, you know,
Yeah.
of the space. And it's like, there's something guiding
Yeah.
me to where I'm supposed to see this thing. They're trying to
Yeah.
show me something.
well, it's like it's a direct parallel to what Terrence McKenna always talks about, one of the fathers of,
Right,
you know, the
Psychedelic.
movement, bro.
right.
And he talks about he saw these self-dribbling basketballs is how he described them. He'd call them the elves or the gnomes, and they'd come up and they'd be like, "Look at this, look at
Right.
this, look." No, I have something to show. And it's all these like he says like toys, but like the most intricate like it's just like just to look at it is like what like this is just a divine piece of like I mean, you can't even describe it,
Right.
you know.
I always feel like DMT almost feels like you're stepping into a realm that's kind of another dimension, but more like where you can see every dimension.
Yeah,
You know,
because you don't
sound,
have your five senses.
vibrations, time. You can just see it. It's all right there to experience. And to us, that's the craziest thing, and it just looks like lines and geometry. But to them, I feel like they can truly understand it.
Yeah.
They just walk through it. They see us come in, and they say, "Oh, here, we'll
Yeah.
show you." But we only zap in for such a little amount of time,
Well,
and there's no way to really explain it.
Yeah.
So they have to show us.
Yeah, and like it, you know, it's like we're talking about if it's like going to a fourth dimension while being a third dimensional
that's
being.
what I'm saying.
You don't know
it
what the
just
fuck's
looks like
going
it's
on.
crazy.
Yeah, you're like whoa.
These
Like,
concepts of dimensions, like one dimension being a straight line, to two dimensions being a box or whatever shape, to three dimensions being
Right.
like a cube,
cube,
to four
right.
to being
A
time,
a hypercube, bro.
to time,
Yeah.
and then
The fucking
and then
tetragrammaton.
five, like bro, that's too much
Right.
for our brain to
Yeah.
Exactly.
comprehend.
I feel like the DMT realm is just you can see everything. You know,
Yeah.
sound, vibrations, time, the air, the energy.
Yeah,
You know, my
and that's what,
aura
you know,
and your aura. You
like-
can just see everything.
Well, like
it's
they
like
talk-
a zoom out of the fucking galaxies,
Exactly.
like you're
Well, yeah,
saying.
and like they talk
bro.
about nirvana
Right.
and freeing yourself from the matrix and everything. It's like, and like we're talking about being in the center of the wheel. Being in the center, you can see everything.
Right.
You can see all this other shit going on around you, but you're free from being trapped into one perception or another. It's just pure spiritual freedom, and that's like, and who knows? I mean, there might be well, I mean, infinity exists, so there's
Right.
probably an even higher level than the DMT realm.
Right.
But it's a great
That's crazy to
example of
think
like,
about.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that could only be.
DMT for the elves.
That's yeah, bro. So, like they talk about like what the fuck did the elves smoke?
Right.
You know what I'm
That-
saying?
Oh my
Because
God.
as above, so below. If this brings us to their level,
Right.
then they're gonna have something that brings them to an
Exactly.
even
That's
higher
crazy.
one.
What if it just like dumbs them down to our level, where it just they smoke it
Yo.
and they come here and they're like, oh fuck.
Well, that's what a lot of people talk
Maybe-
about. They say that they choose to come like you know, Psyched Substance, a super famous psychedelic channel.
Right.
He talks about he would get there, and they're like, oh, we're so happy to see you. We're like, we don't know why you chose to go down there. And he's like, you said you really wanted to go down there and be a human. So I
Right.
mean, you know, we're like, we can't stop you. You know, he's like, but we'll always be waiting for you. You know, we're ready for you to come back. So it's like,
It's like that game from Rick and Morty where
Yeah.
he goes in and he
Right.
has this whole simulated life, and then he dies like as like an old dude after he has his family. And
lives a
he
whole life,
lives an entire life.
which connects to salvia.
And then he wakes up and he's
Right.
all like, I'm back in my old life. What the fuck? That's
Yeah.
like the elves. Like, imagine if their version
Yeah.
of smoking DMT is they smoke it and they become the human, and they're like, all right, I gotta live this out until the fucking trip
Well,
is
yeah,
over.
and that's what a lot
That's
of
their trip.
experiences are like. That's why it's like you have to wake up,
Right.
and when you awaken from this dream that is life, you
this
see that you.
reality is just a drug that we
Yeah.
taken, bro.
It's like we entered ourselves into the matrix.
Right.
But then that's also a
Willingly.
thing. But it's like, what if, because this is where you get to like Gnosticism and escaping from the prison planet, and they even talk about in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they're like, don't go towards the light, because if you go towards the light, that's how they trap you in this cycle, and you're reborn again. You have to, you know, and it's like you have to have complete freedom, and first you go to the void, and I mean obviously you can't describe it from on that point
Right.
because you're fucking enlightened and shit. I mean, that's the same thing, like, I've experienced in, like, K-holes, for sure, bro, like, doing ketamine, bro, but like I said, I mean, this is just an interesting theory. It's like, what's to say if they're not the archons trying to deceive us back? It's being like, oh, look at this, stay with us, it's so pretty here, and it's like, that's when they say, you know, even in Buddhism, they talk about the realm of the devas, where you can accrue a lot of karma, and go all the way to the highest heavens and be a god and live for incalculable numbers of years, like tens of billions of
Right.
trillions of whatever, and experience these lives of perfection. But because they become so lazy and consumed in their world, they forget the true path of true freedom and nirvana and enlightenment.
Right.
And so you're still trapped in that. So it's like, who's to say they're not just trying to trap us again? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there's like,
Interesting.
you know, like, what if there's an even higher realm than that, and they're still part of the fucking archons and shit? And it's like, that's a crazy theory, bro. Like, we don't know.
Right.
How do you
right.
know?
I always think it's kind of interesting because thinking back to it, like, I've never really heard the elves, so to speak. But at the same time, they've communicated.
Yeah.
You know, they don't speak.
They communicate with all 5 senses,
They
bro.
don't speak, but I know what they're saying. You know, the first time I ever truly like broke through, they approached me, and this crazy geometric experience can't even describe. But they approached me, and it was such a crazy experience because it was like they were saying, we can see you.
Yeah.
Everything we've done, every secret you could possibly have, we know you.
We've been watching you.
And we love you.
Yeah. Oh.
That's a crazy experience I had.
Yeah.
It was like, look, you don't need to hide. You don't need to, have these secrets. We love you. We know you.
Yeah, and that's what they
heaven
talk about.
right
I would
there,
say
bro.
that's what they talk about
That's
a
what I'm
lot.
saying.
That when even one person chooses to become a good person, they're like all the angels in
Right.
heaven rejoice because
Well, it's crazy.
Right,
Like
in-
people
in
have
the
their
Bible-
DMT revelations, and they're like, "I saw
Right,
God," and then
exactly.
that changes their entire outlook on life.
Yeah.
And they
In the
become-
Bible, they say, one repentant sinner is better than
like 10,000.
than one just man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
10
was the
just
same,
men.
bro. Yeah. Holy shit.
One
Yeah.
repentant sinner is better than an infinite number of just men.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn. So
Yeah.
that's how it is. They see it and they know because they're just like us. They
Yeah.
are us in that sense.
They're beyond time,
they've
bro.
been. I like to think that they've been through the experience, kind of like you were saying. Maybe it's a
Right.
drug they take, but they've been through the experience. They know the temptations and the suffering, and
Well,
they
it's-
know it's part of the
well,
experience.
and
it's
like the
crazy.
But
fall
if you
from
rise past it,
yeah.
then they love you.
Well,
for
like
it.
the fall from the Garden of Eden, bro.
Exactly.
It's like we had to choose to come down here and fall to experience
Right.
this so that we
Right.
could go back up, you
Well,
know?
it's crazy to use the word repentance. Repentance just means change your mind.
Right.
Literally. So the repentant sinner just means you go and pray to God and you change your mind on how you've sinned.
Yeah.
And that means you go and put that into action. You change the
Exactly.
way you've sinned before, and then you
Exactly.
become a better person.
Yeah.
You just
Exactly.
add on to your
Yeah,
character.
even like Christ and Buddha, and they all talk about they're like the scriptures are only one. They're like, but you have to actually go do what they say.
Right.
You have to put
you have to follow your word.
like you can read about all this knowledge all you want.
Right. You can
But it's
feel
like-
so enlightened, but if you're not,
Yeah,
doing it, you won't.
yeah,
actually
because
be.
they're like there's the two separate ways of knowledge. The worldly ways that are like arithmetic and language and geometry
Right.
and science. It's like you can learn all these earthly things, but it's like the path that leads to the higher is the path of wisdom and experience and actually going out there
Right.
and trying to find God or nirvana in the world instead of just sitting
Exactly.
about there reading about it all day. You have to jump fully into life and experience life for what
well,
it
it's
is.
cool because like I can't remember who said the quote again, but like life is like a current, bro. Like either you're in or you're out.
Yeah,
And
Lao Tzu.
You like legit, you have to hop in it and let it take you where it goes.
Yeah.
Because at the end, whether or not everything's gonna be okay in the end.
Yeah,
So you just gotta follow it. You're gonna have little like.
It's kinda
rocks
like
in
how
your
they
path,
talk
but you're
about,
gonna
like-
get past
Yeah.
everything.
it's kind of like how they talk about meditation. It's all like a flow. You're supposed to let your mind flow. It's not so
Yeah.
much that you're not trying to think. You're not trying to grab
yeah.
on.
Because
to
you can
thoughts.
never stop
Be
your
watchful,
mind.
my
Exactly.
friend.
You will always have this
Yo,
flowing
yeah.
mind, but you want to let it flow
Yeah.
instead of grabbing onto something, getting angry at your thoughts, or thinking about something too deeply.
Yeah.
When you catch yourself doing that, you simply say, "Oh,
Well,
let it
because you're
go.
still attaching yourself to it. Because it's
Exactly.
like you can never stop your mind, and you have to realize that you aren't your thoughts, you aren't your mind, and you have to instead of trying to stop it and like you get all cramped up,
Right,
you're like I'm
instead of
fucking
trying to
angry or I'm
not
fucking
think,
depressed or whatever.
you'll
I'm gonna
keep
play a little
thinking."
clip.
Yeah, and it's
Fuck
but-
off. God damn it.
fucking
Forced
Cortez
ad.
Masto, dog.
Full ass forced ad for 10 seconds. Go
Fucking
on. Go
Cortez Masto.
Right.
Oh, I thought that was the skip button.
Report
On. No,
Cortez.
I had to sit through this though. No, but
Yeah.
here.
This is what it is, okay?
Or you could just like this.
I said empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
One of my favorite fucking speeches, and like what you were talking about comes from the Tao Te Ching, another one of the most sacred holy books, the foundations of Taoism and Taoism, and he talks about how life is, like you were saying, life is a river. It's like you can struggle and fight against the river all you want, but the river's never gonna stop.
Right.
So once you let go and you go with the flow of the river and let it take you, and like they say, let the wind guide you and just go with the flow of life. It's like that's when you experience true freedom because you're not trying to hold on to anything. You're not trying to stop the flow of life. You're like, all right, let's just go with it. Like, it's like taking that leap of faith. It's even like everyone, they talk about like how Jesus, he's like first he had to go down to hell, and then
Right.
he was like, oh, but you can't do shit to me, bro. I'm motherfucking, I'm a sacred soul of delight.
It's like that Mamba mentality, bro.
Yeah,
Literally.
and it's like first you have to go through hell to get to heaven, bro. And it's like, just that leap of faith. It's like every hero, like even when they're like, I'm gonna fight a dragon. There's a chance you're gonna die.
You just have to be fearless.
Yeah, to have courage.
Yeah, you gotta put on the armor of God.
Yeah,
you feel me?
that's where it comes in with faith. It's like faith really means to just trust. Trust God, trust the universe, and that's what people are. They're like, oh, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who just have blind faith and they just read the scripture and blah blah blah. But I'm like, that is the one. That's the hardest thing to have. It's just to actually just trust that and have hope and hope it's all gonna be okay. And no matter what, just keep going. It's like we know we're all gonna die, like we were saying, memento mori. And it's like in every famous like legend, it's like the hero has to go fight the monster, and he knows. I mean, you could definitely die. Like this is a danger. But it's like once you do that, that's like. That's when you receive the prize.
Right. If you die, you still die with the pride, knowing you went and fought that fucking monster.
Well, it's like even at the end of Hercules, it's like he had to die and go to the underworld and sacrifice himself.
Right.
To go get his.
Sometimes there's a higher purpose in what you're fighting for. Maybe you're not fighting for yourself. Maybe you're fighting for somebody else.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean.
Fighting for love, bro.
Well, I always feel like that kind of ties into the thing between faith.
I don't know. I don't watch The Matrix.
Oh God. Oh fuck. That was good.
Like or whatever it is. Now, what were you gonna say though, Gish?
That shit ties into the faith versus God plan or like free will, because like you're saying, you could have faith you're gonna survive, but then there's also the debate that if you die, that's God's plan.
Yeah. We have to
which,
die.
Which maybe it could be. Maybe that affects somebody else's life, your kids or fucking whoever's.
Right.
But
butterfly effect.
Exactly, but it also is interesting because free will to me is very big in that subject. Because like,
is there free will?
Exactly.
Is it half free will, half destiny?
Well, what is?
We don't know.
Well, what's
I
the
believe
opposite of free will? Because there's another like theory against free will. It's like everything happens for a reason, and
it's already pre-programmed into us genetically and shit.
I personally believe that there's a destiny, but you have a free will to follow it.
Yeah.
There is a plan for you, but you have to seek it.
It's like the way David Goggins.
Facts,
it's like the way David Goggins explains it. Like the way like he saw his life before like he really changed it. He's all like, God, like he had a dream where like he saw God and God like put him up and he was all like, these are the lives you could have had if you just followed the fucking right path.
Yeah.
But you are this now and you're a
if
failure.
you really pushed yourself and tried your best, he's like, you would have been a Marine. You would have been
had high ranks, everything.
Right.
You would have been the
broken
best person
broken
ever.
world records. Just being
Not
the
even like that.
badassest
Just being,
motherfucker that's ever existed, bro.
Like
shout out to David Goggins.
Like a great life, bro. Like you could have had so much better, but you hindered yourself.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not gonna let myself end up on that fucking list, bro.
That's not just David Goggins. That's everybody though. Everybody's hindering themselves somehow.
It's kind of like how there's the classic trope of the people that run from their destiny kind of end up causing it.
Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy, dog.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's gonna happen either way.
Exactly.
But you can either go with the flow or you can fight against it. But it's gonna happen either way, bro.
Exactly.
You got your free choice. But this is what's gonna happen.
You can make it harder on you, or you can just fucking make it.
Yeah. No, that's facts, bro. Motherfucking David Goggins, bro. Seriously.
For real,
fucking,
bro.
What a fucking monster, bro. I mean, that just, and that just shows the power of discipline and pushing past your own limitations is the point,
Well, that's
the only one who can hold you back is yourself.
That's what's missing in today's society is discipline. People aren't disciplining themselves. It's just like like the way we look at our phones and our computers is like the most undisciplined way of going about things. We are just
Yeah,
like
I suck at that.
so easily like everything's at a finger's touch.
We
you
don't
feel
think
me?
about anything.
We don't think
you
about
know?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, it's
Got
like we've submitted ourselves.
tiny attention spans.
Yeah, it's like we have
Exactly.
free will. We've just submitted ourselves
Exactly.
to becoming drones and becoming
Literally.
robots. You know.
But that's the way our society's built us to like fucking function, bro. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's what they
literally.
want is the government. They can't all stay rich and in power if they have no one working for them. So as long
Well,
as
it's
they
like-
keep us as worker bees.
It's like the 99 versus the 1%, bro. You like
Yeah.
if you keep the 99 confused, they're not gonna go after the 1%.
I think it was they said the 3 richest men in America had more combined wealth than the bottom like 50%.
Yeah.
These
I mean,
3
Yeah.
men have more than half of America.
That's
you know
funny you
what I'm
bring
saying?
up the 99 and the 1. I was watching South Park just the other night, and they had that episode with the 99% protest. And it was kind of funny because they related just how they kind of said you were saying. That if you break up the 99% into the 60 and the 30 and the 20 and the 10%, now they're all fighting each other. They're not
Exactly.
fighting that 1%.
Yeah.
No.
Divide and
literally.
conquer, bro.
Exactly.
Divide and conquer. That's the name of the game, bro.
You keep them confused and occupied, and they won't even pay attention to what's real.
Well, if they
Exactly.
keep us fighting each other, then
There's no
we'll never be able to
yeah.
group up to fight against them. You know.
Exactly.
because we're so focused on our other demons and battles and shit, bro.
Definitely gonna get demonetized. We said them too many times.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna eat this burger on this motherfucking McDonald's,
Yeah, sponsored.
Mickey D's,
Sponsored.
bitch.
motherfucker.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald actually came and met us in person,
ate
bro.
my fucking ass.
Dude,
Yes, sir.
that's hot.
It was hot.
He ate a McMuffin out of my McBooty, bro. What's up?
Whoa,
Come get this shit,
Oh.
Ronnie.
I'm gonna molest this burger the same way Ronnie does. You know.
And this goes back even into like the ideas of Lemuria and even Hollow Earth, bro. And like all over the world, we have stories of like people living
That's-
underground in this perfect realm, like Shangri-La in the Himalayas,
Well, like how we were saying, like
or Shambhala, one
we
of
were
them.
talking about all like the projects and shit. One of the projects they had was Operation High Jump. Operation High Jump was like where, during World War II, it was like, they say it was like a naval training exercise to go up to Antarctica, but no. What really happened was they all go to Antarctica and then they find out that fucking the Nazis had gotten there first. Like they
Nazi
found
bases.
they found Nazi UFOs there and shit, bro, and then they
Well,
found the inner
yeah.
Earth. They
Well,
found
how do
inner
we know
Earth.
if they're the Nazis' UFOs or if they were just working with them? We don't know.
Well, the Nazis got there first in World War,
Mhm.
and they had already set up base there.
Yeah, but they also say how there was the civilizations that already exist there, and that's why no
Mhm.
one can take over Antarctica, and how there's, you know, even like General Byrd, the famous, where he flew over Antarctica and he
That's
saw the hole in
Operation
the
High
center.
Jump. That's
Yeah.
Operation High Jump.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, what if? Because that's what a lot of people say is like, I mean, I believe this, that the government is probably working with the extraterrestrials, or I mean, we for sure they've admitted that we own alien craft.
Right.
Well,
They said that- they said that, bro.
extraterrestrial, alien, angel, whatever the fuck, they're all the same shit.
Well, think about this. The Pentagon literally said this,
Angels
and no
are
one
extraterrestrial, bro.
and no one paid attention. They said, "We have craft that is not of this earth." They said that. That's a
like
quote from the
chariots of
Pentagon,
heaven, bro. Like
well,
the
have
fucking
you,
Hindu
heard of
shit.
David Icke?
Yeah, dude. I was just fucking putting them on David Icke, bro.
And yeah, motherfucker, fuck, where are they from? Motherfucking Draco.
Well, that's what with the reptilians they say. It's like, yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
it kind of plays into what he was saying,
The
how all the
Draconians.
presidents, right? How all the presidents are related. He says that it's because it's the DNA, that not that the world leaders are lizards, but that they have genetically enhanced DNA from the lizards
right.
that gives them this power and this personality and this charisma to lead, and
Well,
that's what puts them in
it's
the
like
leadership
the
position.
adrenochrome shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like they need this shit, bro. Like rejuvenation shit. Like lizards like shed skin, bro, and like they fucking mutate.
Well,
and
he
shit.
also says, back to the Matrix shit. He says, that it's a projection from the moon, and that it projects this matrix reality
Yeah.
onto the Earth.
Well, they also talk about like the Saturn time cube and how
Right.
on Saturn I mean, that's the
Dude,
emanation that's
Saturn was
controlling
one.
us right now.
Dude,
You know.
you
Right.
look at all the fucking the planets. They're all named after the fucking Roman gods.
Or the gods were named after the planets.
No. They named the planets after the gods because that was the same time that they fucking found out that they thought we were like everything was revolved around us. Remember?
Right.
But no, it's the other way around where we revolve around the fucking sun, and they find that out, and they're like, all right, Saturn, Jupiter, blah blah blah. Saturn is the 6th planet, bro, and they worship that. Saturn, Satan.
Well, I'm just because it transfers over like through all those old religions. Like it's because they saw the stars in the sky first, and then they would assign names to them, and that's why they would call the gods the planets.
They
the
still worship
the planets
Saturn.
existed first.
Like there's temples to Saturn. They worship Saturn because Saturn was a god.
Yeah.
And like legit the 6th planet from the sun.
Yeah. What even goes like into the theory of Mother Earth, and like it says like, what if we're just organisms living on our planet?
Well,
which is
I just thought of something. Who's to say that it wasn't more of a misinterpretation? Who's to say an alien didn't come down as Saturn, and they came down and said,
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's me.
That's
dog.
me.
Whoa,
As in I'm from there.
Yo, yeah. That's
know
some
what I'm
deep shit
saying?
I didn't think about.
And
Well,
the people
yeah.
said, "Oh, that's you," and he was like, "Sure."
He's like, let's just get.
I'm way. It's way more than you can understand.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, no,
No.
I'm pretty sure it was already after because like they had the gods like the Egyptian pantheon and shit.
Right.
Like they had already been gone for a while.
Right.
The Greek gods, all of them gone. And it's funny because we mentioned Greek gods and like the Egyptian, and they all both started around the same time. You look, Egypt and fucking. Greece
Egypt
were
was
still
older
around
than
the same time. Like
Egypt
Greece
was way old.
contacting Atlantis during the time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where we get the Critias and Timaeus, where Plato was getting the folklore of Atlantis.
But that's because Egypt was way older than Greece, but then it was such a powerful civilization. Then when
Exactly.
Greece came around, they ended up meeting.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. And like
And he
I'm
talks about-
saying, how they connected and they shared their knowledge, and like their gods
Yeah.
are the same gods.
Library of Alexandria, bro.
Well,
Tower
like,
of Babel.
you look
dog.
at like the Greek gods, the Roman gods, and then the fucking what is it called? The Egyptian gods.
Yeah.
There's the same amount of gods. They're
Yeah.
just different names.
Yeah.
And they're all like assigned, and they have their temples, all this shit.
Mhm.
They were real. They got, like I said, how the fucking the scapegoat was banished to the fucking the wilderness. I think the Pillar of Enoch, like the Pyramid of Giza,
Right.
is just a capstone to this fucking inner earth, straight fucking pit of hell
Well, what
where
I
all
was
these
gonna
fucking
say-
demons have been hiding.
This-
Like God said, when the flood happened, all the Nephilim crept into the cracks of the earth.
Yeah. Well, he cast them down into the abyss.
And then what
Yeah.
happened is in Revelation, these fucking
Open the abyss.
the abyss opens, it capsizes, and the fucking all these fucking demons with animal heads come out, and they're fucking gods. These
Yeah.
fucking like the fallen angels, bro.
Well, they even talk about
they look
like
look at the Egyptian gods. They have these fucking bird heads, wolf heads.
Right.
They're all these gods that literally
yeah. Well,
in the Bible.
even in the Bible, they describe even the angels having animal
Right.
heads.
Literally.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I'm
true.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, and then it's
No.
like, well, and these fallen ones, these
Well,
demons.
even
These
the angels
gods,
and the demons,
extraterrestrials,
Yeah.
same
they're
shit.
animals and they're animal bodies and wings and
Yeah.
tails and everything.
and they had miraculous powers, and they could
exactly.
and that's what they're doing right now, bending time and space with this, superior technology. And it's like, but who's to how do we know that? Because like we said, science and religion are connected. I mean, it would only make sense that in this realm, obviously, the fallen ones and the demons, and as they talk about in the Bible, they're like, it's not a battle of flesh and blood, but it's of principalities and powers and rulers of darkness.
It's
Right.
a spiritual.
It's a spiritual,
war.
yeah, it's a spiritual battle, and
It's
it's
a battle
like,
for souls.
yeah, and who's to
literally.
say if they don't rule this material realm, that would only make sense that they would have such superior technology. I mean, they came down and taught us our technology, so
Right.
they say.
Literally
So
in the
it's
book
like-
of Enoch, the angels came down and shared the gifts of heaven.
Yeah, they taught us how to make
That's where we get
machines,
makeup, the fucking music, all this shit. All
Yeah.
this shit we never had before.
and I mean, and that's even like in the
only
Mayans.
element that wasn't a part of actually like physical, like a part that was in heaven was music.
Yeah, when they talk
Music's
about
an element.
yeah, well that's facts. And I mean, they say like the Mayans, they're like, oh, this. I mean, all across the world, they're like these star people came down and taught us this how to build and how to do astronomy and how to do math and
Well,
shit,
the craziest thing, you guys were talking about the whole elongated head thing, and I think that's really crazy because the scholars always say, oh, they just wanted to replicate the rich and the sophisticated, but who were the rich and sophisticated replicating?
Right.
Where did they get that idea?
Look at the Pope, dude. Look at their fucking cardinals. Look
Well-
at their giant fucking
right,
elongated hats.
But like you take the Mayans, right, and they're literally squishing their baby's head to make them look like somebody.
Yeah.
Who are they replicating?
Because this is a sign of royalty and wisdom
why,
and everything.
Why is it a sign of
yeah.
royalty?
Who had these?
Exactly.
Right.
There had to be somebody that, probably aliens coming
Yeah.
down with huge ass heads that gave them all this technology, and then they were like, "Oh, I want my baby to look like the king."
Yeah.
Bada bing,
Yeah,
bada boom.
that's what they would do,
Exactly.
to try to, and that's even what we do right now. How they have people caught in the idea, like,
and who knows? Maybe the high society of them were all the same, family or whatever,
Mhm.
and they all had the same heads. So that's why
Yeah.
the royalty.
Literally.
that would only make
Literally.
sense.
That's why
you
the
know?
royalty
The 13
is exactly
bloodlines,
exactly.
the 1%. They were half god. They're still Nephilim, bro.
Exactly.
They're just like now they're not even half god. They're just like a point percentage of a god because they're fucking that far like delineated. You feel
Yeah.
me? Into human.
Well, like this,
humanity.
demigods, and they had sex
Yeah.
with the women, and now
Well, exactly. Like I was saying, David Icke, he believes that it's not that they are gods, but that they have been either
Mixed with them.
created or mixed or bred
Well,
to
it's
be
crazy.
That's how they
humans.
even-
Exactly.
It's crazy because you look at these other countries like there's I think this like in the Pacific like not Pacific like the islands like by Hawaii, what are they called?
Right.
The-
Marshall Islands?
No, not like over in Asia kind of.
Bahamas.
No.
No.
Bahamas are under Florida.
Or,
So Hawaii and then it's like Fiji. Yeah,
Philippines?
no Fiji. Like
yeah, the New Guinea.
South Pacific.
Indonesia.
Yeah, like that area.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What's it called? Like, there's people out there literally that they've been hunting fish for years, right? But their way of fishing is they literally go under the water and they stay underwater
Right,
for
and
like
spear 'em,
15 minutes
Yeah.
with rocks attached to them so they could stand underwater with goggles and they fucking spear them. And they've seen like they did blood work and all this shit. They've like so far evolved like their pancreas and their shit like is so
Yeah.
much different than human like our normal human shit. Like if we were down there for that long, we would have been dead. Like they are like
Yeah.
living embodiments of evolution.
We forget how strong the
They're
human
probably
body is.
part
you know?
god too.
I mean, well, that's because that's what they talk about in. This is one of the theories of like the ancient Sumerian gods, who a lot of these stories are just
Right.
like they're like the oldest civilization, and so it's like they talked about how the gods came from another planet. This is one interpretation.
That was
don't get me
the
wrong.
first religion. Was it Zoroastrianism?
That's one of them. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that was even like back with the Nag Hammadi script. This shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Time is so much longer than people think. This shit is all, like, cause it's like these shits would exist for like hundreds
that's
of
what's
years.
crazy too, and that's just written history.
Yeah,
it's like
Yeah.
relativity, like I'm talking about. It's what's relative now.
yeah. This reality is subjective. It's like mind over matter. It's just what's happening. Man, it's crazy.
Man, this has been a good ass podcast, bro. I gotta say.
On God. What thing will fucking.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to dip in a while though.
Alright, thank you guys for joining us. This was
Colin.
my boy.
Gage. What up?
And oh shit.